Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
What's good, Panther Paisans? Bryce Young's playing his best football. Adam Thielen mic'd up, and it was a catch. Cotchery-like vibes to that play. Jonathan Brooks getting the rock, toting the rock, showing that he could be a star in the making. And the Philadelphia Eagles are up next. And, man, they're playing great football. You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. I'm here with my wheelman, Cody Lack. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, the Panthers are going on the road for what is assuredly their toughest game of the year, man. But we are riding high off of the wave that appears to be the emergence of our franchise quarterback, Bryce Young, man. His continued ascendance has been the story of Panther Nation, and in some ways it's been the story of the NFL, because just like it was highly publicized when Bryce was benched, him now turning things around has everyone looking at the Carolina Panthers for all the right reasons. We have a brand new CEO of Tepper Sports and Entertainment. We have a discussion that started on the free-for-all, but it's going to happen tonight. When do the Carolina Panthers pay J.C. Horn, and how much, or at all? Tony Dunn, you know there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than hanging here with my boys, talking Panther football with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's Bill Cravens, Joey the Black Panther, what's up? The brand ambassador, Diesel Skills, C3 Doug, Panther Pickle, what's up, brother? Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, brand new member Drew with the flu, what's up, brother? Harvey London, Kristen Butler, Paisan Muscles Marinara, Pandas, Panther Guy 73, Shane Reed, Tim Estes, Tripe X, Vegas Panthers Drew, and your bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We'd love to get your thoughts on Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers, and this resurgence despite not pulling out the wins, but the optimism surrounding the current Panthers. And as so many people have mentioned in the chat, it's just a lot easier to watch the Carolina Panthers over the last 3 weeks than it has been over the last 3 years. It's always good to hang out and talk the Carolina Panthers with my boy CK. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'll tell you what, a few points. Adam Thielen was robbed of a freaking touchdown. If you haven't had a chance after we're done tonight, you need to go watch the mic'd up for Adam Thielen. Out of all the people they chose to mic up for last week's game, it was Adam Thielen, and it was the most perfect decision because all cameras were on him at all times, and we have the most clean shot of this football that supposedly moved after he hit the ground, not even moving an inch. I am so heartbroken for him. But here's the thing. I'm even more heartbroken for Bryce because over the past 3 to 4 weeks, there have been at least 5 touchdown passes that have been either dropped or completely screwed out of by the officials. 5 of them that now were wiped off the table that he didn't get the benefit of picking them up or anything along those lines. 5 different ones I feel like I could point to where his numbers over the past 4 weeks would even look even better than they do right now. I'm telling you guys, it is so good to be able to have a quarterback that makes what we're doing this offseason an easier answer than what we were dealing with at the beginning of this season. We were going into this offseason with so many questions. What do we do at quarterback? Do we go ahead and get another quarterback in the draft? Do we go after a free agent? Do we just get rid of Bryce altogether? When you have a quarterback coming in here and making those answers easy, man, you got to be able to go and be excited about it. I have a few people. I saw somebody in the chat. I think it was Vegas. Drew said, "We're gonna, it's time to slob on the knob of Bryce," or he said something about basically. I think it was a slight, right?
Yeah.
Cue the knob slobbing, right? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely. When you've been waiting so long for your quarterback to show up, and he shows up in a consistent basis for 4 weeks in a row, that's what we've been looking for.
Criticism when criticism is due, praise when praise is warranted. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the show, check us out on Spotify and iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Facebook, X. Be a part of the conversation. Tonight's show, Panthers thinks Philly ain't so special. And what I do think is special has been the play of Bryce Young in the development over the last couple of weeks. And not what we've seen in the last, 4 games is a player that played well in one game, played a little bit better in the following game, and then over the last 2 games has played impressively. So Bryce Young, flowers for you. No flowers for Algernon, but flowers for Bryce Young here. Cody, there's nowhere else to start. Oh, one thing we actually do, speaking of, we're going to have to add it to the show. I didn't even see it, is we're going to have to talk about Pinheiro and the misses and Justin Tucker and him going from the best kickers to the worst. Oh, gosh, it was tough seeing that. But there's really nowhere that we can start. I mean, and this is the National Football League, and I'm sure every podcast probably starts by talking about their quarterback play. If you're in Jacksonville, you're talking about the nasty late hit on Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
If you are if you're a San Francisco 49ers fan, you're talking about Christian McCaffrey to IR.
Yeah, man.
But we're happy to say, and if you're a Falcons fan, you're talking
your
about
lack of arm talent quarterback, Atlanta.
Kirk Cousins in his crappy play.
He's got a noodle arm. He has a legit noodle arm.
No torque from the lower half, coming off of an ACL.
Yeah, 40 years old, right?
Or that's what it is, Achilles. Thank you.
But still even worse, by the way, because you're putting so much of that throwing torque on that back, that leg, that ankle, that foot. So I think that makes it even harder.
But we get to talk about a guy that many believed was left for dead. A lot of fans had given up on Bryce Young. Some people would say they never believed in him. But despite what fans said, the Carolina Panthers organization had some real questions about Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And how eligible or how smart it would be to invest in him for the long term kind of going forward. We've been of the mindset that there was no reason to trade Bryce Young. There was no reason to cut, do any of those things, that he would be a part of the team, but that did not guarantee in what capacity. Over the last 4 weeks, though, a pressure has been lifted. A weight has been lifted off of Panther fans, and I would argue a weight lifted off of Dan Morgan so that he is liberated and free to navigate the draft in a way that was not forced to consider the quarterback position. Bryce Young has been he's been great. He has shown, he's rocketed the ball in the red zone in spots. He's thrown touch passes. He's climbed the pocket and gotten out of trouble and look downfield. He's played his best football. And finally, in this past, not finally, it makes it sound like I was upset, I think this last week was the week that we saw a player that warranted a first round pick. I know you guys said 2 weeks ago that you could see it. He is playing with confidence. And arguably that was the problem with him before. And there could be a million reasons why he was lacking confidence, from fear of getting destroyed inability, just the lack of weapons, coaching carousel of ridiculousness. But there is, he's dancing, he's smiling, he's playing loose, he's playing confident, and it's nice to have number 9 on this podcast talking, and we're talking we're excited.
Listen, he continues to win people over. He's the trajectory that Bryce has been on is something that I think will be studied one day. I mean, to go from the very bottom to have people comparing you to literally Jamarcus Russell and Johnny Manziel to doing what he's doing now, it's absurd, man. This is from PFF. The most big time throws over the past 2 weeks was Bryce Young with 9. That's absolutely incredible, man. And there's a comment that I wanted to highlight here from Kristen Butler, who was at the game this Sunday. Shout out to Kristen. Says Bryce looks completely like a new quarterback, and watching from a TV does him no justice. He was definitely confident and played smart with his own style. Light switch was turned on inside him. And listen, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can look at this. Maybe you could put this a ton on Dave Canales. Shout out to Anthony. He even posted there's a rapper named Rod Wave who went out and put up on Instagram, told Bryce Young to call him. So maybe there was like a phone call between this rapper and Bryce. I don't know, man, but this has been a night and day different Bryce compared to what we have seen, and it's making everything look so much easier in terms of what we do moving forward. The quarterback with the best passer rating on 25-plus yard throws in the past 4 weeks. That's right. Yours truly, Bryce Young. He also has more touchdowns than these quarterbacks since becoming quarterback 1. That's more than Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, C.J. Stroud. That's a wild one right there. Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy. And in his last 4 games, Bryce Young has 858 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Shout out to
at least 5 dropped touchdown passes.
And think of what those 25-yard plus numbers would be if you had the Leggett catch, there's 2 David Moore catches. He would not only be leading the league, but he'd be leading the league by more.
By far. Yeah. So shout out to Mia Kimes, because she kind of brilliantly encapsulated what CK and I have kind of been saying the past 2 shows in a row. It sucks to lose, but what a dream scenario for Panther fans to see their number 1 overall pick playing like this so they can focus on defense this offseason instead of panic picking another quarterback. Tony, you just alluded to this. Dan Morgan has to be breathing the ultimate sigh of relief right now because it makes him and Brant Tillis have a very clear, easy job that they have to set out to accomplish in the offseason that's continued to build up the team around Bryce and on defense. I'm loving what we're seeing right now.
The number's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. You can get in the calls. Like Tunes on Strings is threatening here. Don't threaten me with a good time, Tunes on Strings, by calling into this show. He said this. I need to hear you guys admit you were wrong, like literally everyone else. That's all. Don't make me call in. Well, I am going to make you call in. Why do you need that admission? Number 1. Number 2 is that maybe you guys can call this a revisionist history for Tony Dunn, but I honestly don't feel that it is that there was nothing through 19 games to warrant confidence and praise in Bryce Young's play and the Carolina Panthers as a team overall. And also, immediately once Bryce was benched and then has returned and played well, I think that I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I'll speak for myself on this podcast. I've said that he's played good. He played good, and like he said, played first game, comes in halfway through a game, wasn't the greatest. I think Denver, let's not say that Denver game was all of a sudden like people were thinking that was a good performance by anybody, but
Right.
Put some yards up and different things. But for the next 2 games, he played competently. He went out there, didn't turn the ball over, didn't, make terrible decisions, but also wasn't playing at the level that he's played in the last 2 weeks. So, like I said, criticism due when criticism is required, and praise deserved here for Bryce Young really turning a corner, because for 4 games, he's looked exciting. He's looked good.
Yeah. And also to pretend like that if somebody had said that Bryce wasn't playing well, was that they were wrong, is absolutely is not true, right? I don't want to, punch down on anybody, but
sure.
Like nobody here. Yeah, let me rephrase. I can't say nobody, because I'm sure that there were some statements made by some people on the panel potentially that maybe were a little bit more of like, we need to get rid of him, move on with him. But like, it's not like that was the overall, that wasn't the overarching theme of the podcast, right? The majority of the things that were being said was, we need to listen, he doesn't look like he's a good quarterback. I'm not willing to give up on him yet. Like, I don't think it makes sense. You will hear me multiple times talk about this offseason, we need to go in and allow him to compete for that position as opposed to just throwing it to him. But at the end of the day, like, to pretend like anybody who had concerns about Bryce Young was wrong when you saw what he did over the past year and a half, you're absolutely out of your mind if you think that you have a leg to stand on to say that they're wrong by having those concerns. What we saw was a bad quarterback. What we see now is not a bad quarterback, So if what you want to hear is we were wrong, you're not going to hear it. But what I will tell you is I am ecstatic that he has proved some people that maybe didn't believe in him wrong. And I'm glad that he has proven himself to be what he believes himself to be more than anything. But I'm not going to apologize for being critical of his performance over the first year and a half. And I was one of the last people holding out hope for Bryce Young. And it wasn't until I saw him in person in the Chargers game when I was like, dude, I don't think this dude's got it. Like, I just don't. I couldn't see it. There was no evidence that supported that.
Ben Kurt put out that tweet that said this is a failed experiment.
Yeah, then now people are roasting him on Twitter too.
I think the one thing I want to say real quick, and we'll move on from that topic, is if you want us to celebrate people that had unwavering faith, then good for you. Good for you guys. Is that if you could watch all of that and not have any concern that trading up for that player and what was going on in Carolina, that it was, if you didn't waver in that it was going to work, then then we'll celebrate that.
Yeah. Let me read this from Vegas Panthers Drew, and then I'll chime in on this, because let's be real, a lot of this is sort of directed at me, and I have no problem with that. Vegas Panthers Drew says, I never thought Bryce Young could be an NFL quarterback. As Cody and I said, I would be happy to be proven wrong. Last 2 starts he has shown out, and he just needs to be more accurate in the red zone and deep ball accuracy. So look, I'm going to keep it real with you, all right? I know that there's some crossover between listeners of our pod and the people who follow us on Twitter, but also for a large part, they're kind of not the same people. So I'm not apologizing to anyone on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, dude, I say what I want, when I want, how I want, and I encourage everyone to do the same thing. However, I like to feel that, over time, I've built up a relationship with our listeners, and I have outright said that I did not believe that Bryce Young was the future of the Carolina Panthers. Well, listen, there's still a lot left to play, but how about this? I'll be big enough for the listeners of this show, and as of right now, I'm feeling like Bryce Young has proven me pretty wrong. I did not think that Bryce Young was capable of what he has been doing the past few weeks in a row. I felt like there was some stuff that he could do at Alabama, but I didn't know if he was going to be able to continue to do that in the NFL. Bryce Young has shown out. All I have ever said was I wanted him to prove that he was worth everything that we traded up to get for him and that he could run the offense like we were sold when he was coming out of Alabama. Through the first year and the first 2 games, that was nowhere evident on his film. Like you were saying, there were people that might have had faith, but if you didn't have any criticisms of Bryce Young from year 1 to the benching, well, then you were being a biased fan. So, in my opinion, I am happy to be wrong about Bryce Young. I'm happy to be wrong because at the end of the day, we are not having to go into the draft looking for another quarterback, and we can continue to build this team as we need to, man. I'm happy for Bryce. I'm happy for Panther fans everywhere. I'm into it.
I've said this in the last couple of shows, and you can't miss on a top 10 draft pick. And that's any position, right? I mean, when you miss on a top 10 draft pick, you're missing something that needed to be a hit, so that then you can have a great draft by hitting on a third or something like that. But you can't miss on a top 10, maybe even a top 15 in some cases. You can't miss on a top 5 pick at quarterback. And you certainly can't miss at a top number 1 pick overall at quarterback without it having a detrimental effect to your organization, the timeline for whatever you're trying to do. If that is build a team for the future, build a team that's ready to win in the near future. And you most certainly cannot miss on a number 1 draft pick that's a quarterback with all of those expectations, with all of those I guess the weight and consequences of that, and trade up in a measurable, like an important part of your future. And that was the concern, is that it's not just whether or not Bryce Young was going to be the player, but how sideways everything could go. And this is for any organization if it didn't work. And the last 2 games have, like you said, may not have guaranteed those things, but they sure make it feel like that we don't really, that might be off the table now.
Yeah, and listen, let's not just pretend that it was just fans. There were people in mainstream media that were calling Bryce Young a bust, that even former fans of him that were jumping on him and saying, this didn't work out. The Panthers have all this egg on their face. So it wasn't just those of us on this pod or other people on the internet. There was a lot of doubts about Bryce Young early on, and it did look like it was going to be a bust. They were comparing him to Jamarcus Russell. So the fact that he has been able to do this, man, I'm not a hater, bro. I am never pulling for Bryce Young to be a failure. I want Bryce Young to be the man that we drafted him to be. And I'm loving life right now because even though we've had some narrow victories, which, let's be honest, should have been a W, especially this past Sunday, even in spite of that, man, seeing Bryce come along as far as he had, dude, that's our hope for the future right there. And we have a bunch of young, talented players on the team right now that are going to grow at the same time with Bryce. This is everything that you want, and we're hoping that this is looking like the end of the dark times for the Carolina Panthers. A few love bombs before we go forward. Kristen Butler with the $5. Canales needs to channel Riverboat Ron when we get into the red zone by only Tiff. Please, coach, for real, let's fucking go. I agree. Have to be way more aggressive on those short yardage situations. And then shout out to Broadway Joe for the $5 C3 bomb. You have to throw that first year away for Bryce. Had a coach that didn't want him. You know what? I'm a firm believer in that. I have said forever, and I know CK and Tony can vouch for me on this, I've never, ever believed that Frank Reich and that original coaching staff, especially with how that offense was built, that they envisioned Bryce Young in that offense. You cannot tell me that. Whereas I feel like this staff and this front office, absolutely for sure want Bryce Young to be their quarterback for the future. Vegas Panthers Drew says, honestly, the Bryce superfans who disappeared this year to suddenly come back to life by some moron troll magic the last 3 weeks. Like, G baby have made it hard for me to be happy and cheer for Bryce. I understand that too, man. Tony, look, I give Tony all the credit in the world. Tony said that we didn't think that we would ever see a quarterback more polarizing than Cam Newton. And only after a year and a half, Bryce Young is undeniably more polarizing.
Can we talk about the perfect timing? Both of these comments, the $10 love bomb and G baby coming in here with what's Gucci, y'all, came in at the exact same time, and it's just crazy the timing on that. It's so ironic. But here's the thing, like, listen. To believe, yes, there were sometimes it was hard for anybody who was a fan of Bryce Young to appear because, like, the person, let's be real about it, it was really difficult if you're a believer of Bryce Young, which I had been, right, to maintain or even show your face or wear the Bryce Young jersey because you're just going to be having to talk to people about how bad he looked, right? And so I don't blame them for disappearing. The same way I don't blame the people that were out here talking crap about Bryce Young are all of a sudden, not everybody. Obviously, we have a few people in here, but there's a lot of them that are just very quiet, right? So the same people, or they're like Cody, who is willing to come on the other side of it and say, listen, I might have been wrong about Bryce, right? We didn't see it. We weren't able to visualize it. So listen, I'm not going to sit here and, I still think that people need to handle being on the right side of whatever hill you're wanting to die on. And you want to handle that with grace because there's going to come a time when you're wrong and you're going to want to wish that people handle your being wrong with grace. So no matter what, if this is something, and again, this is 4 games against, yes, there were some good defenses from the Chiefs and everything, but this was a struggling defense in the Bucks. Some are maybe now even questioning the defense of the Chiefs. So there's still some questions. Now this week is going to be questions answered, right? And that's where we're looking for. So, there's still some concern. There's still some things that we are willing to be able to say, hey, listen, let's hold back before we say full go where Bryce is the guy, right? Nobody is saying he's the franchise quarterback, hands down, sign him to an extension, right? There's nobody who's making that argument right now. Not nobody reasonably speaking that is. But, at the end of the day, handle it with grace. If Bryce Young comes out and he just ends up not being good, and all of a sudden we're looking for a new QB next year, whatever that may look like, handle it with grace. If you're somebody who didn't like him, listen, at the end of the day, everybody's going to be wrong about something one time or another. And to sit here and act like you knew everything was going to be the same way you're full of it. Like if you believe that was going to end this way.
Let me add this to it, CK. Now that I have seen Bryce play this way, I'm even more likely to give him grace in the future for bad performances.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I know that he's capable of this.
You've seen
now it. I know that he can put the ball in the right place, that he can be confident, that he can push the ball downfield, that he can go through his progressions, that he can check plays at the line of scrimmage, that he can actually be in control of the offense. The fact that we see that from him now, it makes me say, oh, okay, well, if it doesn't go right in the future, well, what went wrong? Because we know we're not going to be able to put it 100% on Bryce Young because we have seen him do some of these things before. So this is big for everyone involved, man. It really is. Whereas before, we didn't see that many good performances at all for Bryce in the NFL. So as he continued to struggle, especially after that Chargers game, it made it easy for people just to write him off and say, hey, man, this guy is not it. We're having to move on and look to the future already. And listen, man, dare I say, I hate to say it like this because it sounds kind of messed up, but that was a little bit of divine intervention. Andy Dalton getting into a weird car wreck that essentially forced Dave Canales to put Bryce Young back in that role.
Do we know where Bryce's parents were at that time?
I have no idea, dude. But up until that point, fans were getting mad at Canales because Canales continued to say, no, we're going to stick with Dalton. We're going to stick with Dalton, to the point where it made people wonder if there was any chance that Canales even wanted to see what he had in Bryce Young, that he didn't even want to do that. So whether or not that is true, we might never know. But right now, we know that Bryce Young is the quarterback for 2023. There's no other way around it.
Don't forget, tonight's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com and use the promo code C3P to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Do you think Bryce Young can have more than 209.5 passing yards? Hit higher. Maybe you're interested in Saquon Barkley and 107.5 rushing yards. I wish you could say lower, but I don't know if you can confidently say that with the season he's having and the run defense that the Carolina Panthers have. Underdog has vulture protection. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, they'll rescue your entry immediately. Join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their champs game. You could win big money by making entries with your favorite players. I'm interested in Thursday night football because, man, it's right around the corner. And what an important divisional matchup it is between the Green Bay Packers, who are going to Detroit to face the best team in football. Right here is this. I'm looking at David Montgomery. Half, if he gets a touchdown, you hit higher, baby. 1 touchdown. Or 58.5 rushing yards. I'm higher on both of those. And Sam Laporta, 3.5 interceptions, 35.5 receiving yards. I'm on the higher on that. You put those players in, you can win big money. Download the app today and use the promo code C3P to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code C3P to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly for first-time players using that code. It's in 33 different states, including North Carolina. And Cody, hit them with it.
Must be 18 years of age, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783. Or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE New York, or text HOPE NY to 467-369. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring us all the way through the playoffs into February. That helps us continue to grow the pod and bring you this content that you love around the Carolina Panthers. Do you want to do another slide? Do you want to do some calls?
Let's talk this one. We'll do one more topic and get to the calls. The number's 252-228-5098. The Carolina Panthers are going to be playing a juggernaut of a team in the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're going to need as much firepower as they can have. And, boys, there's a little firepower returning this week.
Yes, sir.
Right now, Jalen Coker, who currently ranks 5th on the team in receiving yards at 263 yards, and Jatavion Sanders, who was suffering a neck injury, coming off a nasty kind of tumble and landing on his head. Looks like both of these guys could be a go, and boy, will you need them against the 10-2 Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, man. Head coach Dave Canales was asked if he expects the rookies to return, and he would go on to say, that's the hope, yes. And so they both have had a couple big days today and tomorrow to evaluate where they're at, and the hope is to get them back this week. So the reason why I put this after all the Bryce stuff is because you can continue to see how this offense could get even better. I mean, there's been a lot of a next man up mentality on this team, right? A lot of our players have missed time. David Moore has had to step up in a big way. Now you have Adam Thielen back. Now you add Jalen Coker and Jatavion Sanders back to the lineup, who were both looking incredible before they both got injured. I mean, these are looking like, I like the comparison that someone said that Jalen Coker is sort of like our own Puka Nacua, just this guy that comes out of nowhere and catches everything and runs great routes. And Jatavion Sanders, he was the second best tight end in that draft. He might end up being the best tight end in that draft after all is said and done. So you can imagine how this offense can still be better than it is now when you add these young guns back to the offense. I'm excited, man. This is incredible for us right now.
Wait. Did you say he could be the best tight end? I hope you haven't been
in
watching
that draft. This last year's draft.
No, what about the dude from Las Vegas? He's about to win Rookie of the Year.
Is he really?
He's fucking awesome, dude. The guy from Georgia, Brock Bowers. Yeah, sorry. He's already.
I don't know. He's still gonna, even though that Jalen, Jaden Daniels has fallen off a bit. I still think he's got a chokehold on it. And if there's anybody who's gonna come take that, I think it's Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think the tight end is going to come and get it, but he is playing like a monster. So let's go ahead and hold up there. But
no, I won't do it. Team Jatavion, baby, bid number 0. Let's go. But yeah, man, dude, I just think that the addition of these guys right now, man, that's going to be big time for us. Tony, you want to take some calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. The number is 252-228-5098. Have your voice heard on the longest running Panthers podcast. Leave us a message. Let's get to it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
I blew it. Guys. The hell, come on. All right. Say something first. All right, I got it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right, it's just typical crap in my life. Got here.
To the charismatic CK, the tenacious Tony Dunn, and yes, the incomparable Cody Lack. What's going on, boys? This ain't nobody but your boy CP, the vintage retro man, North Carolina's neighborhood hope dealer. What's up, C3 Nation? I was thinking, it's good to reflect sometimes. Y'all remember when everybody's biggest knock on Bryce Young is because of his size was if he could make it through one whole season? Now, I will admit, I have been a Bryce Young critic as well. And I think rightfully so. He was not playing great early on in his career.
Exactly.
But he's progressing. And I love the fact that he's also staying healthy. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get that out the way first. But I got a question for you boys, something I've been wondering. Rhythm. How important is it for players to get in a rhythm in NFL games in y'all perspective? And would you consider Dave Canales a rhythm killer? And the reason I'm asking this is because I feel like we got two good running backs in Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. And it's like whenever they get some momentum and they rush for 7-8 yards, it's like Canales pulls them out and won't put them back in till later. I don't know. It seems like he's a rhythm killer to me, but anyway, I just wanted to throw this out there to you guys. Once again, it's the Hope Dealer, man. Everybody keep your head up. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
I have a great answer for this. I think that one of the many things that has helped Bryce to be a better quarterback is a focus by Dave Canales to get the play in quicker so they can get to the line and he can read the defense. How often for his not only the first season, but even those first 2 games, were they just walking up to the line with 10, 15 seconds left on the play clock, and he's not really able to process what he's seeing. There's no real time to change what's happening at the line. I can't tell you how many times over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks that I've seen Bryce Young alter his protections, pick up a blitz, and have just an extra second or two to get the ball where it needs to go. Like, he's been a lot more decisive because I think he's able to read those defenses a little more efficiently, a little more quickly, or have a little more time to do those things. But I also think Dave Canales making an effort to get them to the line quicker so he has that time is something that is worthy of praise. And I think it's something that's not being talked about enough as to one of the reasons why Bryce Young is looking so much better this year. I mean, in these past few games.
Yeah, I would also add to that. I think rhythm is so incredibly important, and that's why I like that we have a bunch of young players that are continuing to grow at the same time, because it's like they're finding that rhythm together and how to work in that offense, and they're going to be able to continue to build upon that year after year. But I also think that sometimes a really good player can, I think, take you off of your rhythm. And I look at Deontay Johnson, who was brought here to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Now he has done absolutely nothing for the Baltimore Ravens, and now apparently he's already talking about being disgruntled over there in Baltimore. You know, I remember before that 2015 season, we felt like, you know, we lost all of our hope before that year when Kelvin Benjamin went down, because we didn't have that number 1 wide receiver for Cam Newton. And then look what he did. He went and just had the best year of his entire career, right?
Yeah.
I think that getting on a rhythm almost requires you to spread the ball around, because it almost gives you a better view of what receiver is going to be at the right spot at the right time. It's, you know, you're seeing things happen and unfold in real time, and you're not having to force feed the ball to a certain player because you brought in a player to be that number 1. Now you feel like you have to force him the ball. I feel like now that, you know, we did move on from Johnson and Jonathan Mingo, that really it was addition by subtraction that helped our rhythm.
How often that happens? How often has that happened for a Panthers to have a addition by subtraction? Like, the thing that I love is that you would think that getting rid of those 2 guys would make it more likely that you're getting the ball to one receiver over top of others. Bryce Young has been spreading that thing across the board. Like, yeah, Adam Thielen had a big game yesterday or on Sunday, but, you know, even if you like the targets he's got, it's not like he was getting like substantially more looks than everybody else. Like, Bryce Young was getting that ball to everybody. He was giving David Moore multiple looks. He was giving Xavier Legette multiple looks. He gave one tight end an opportunity that he's never gotten before. Can't even remember his name, Cicero or whatever it was. Got his first catch in that game, and nobody even knows about him. I didn't even know he was on the team. So, you know, there's some things that have happened that have been, you know, absolutely an addition by subtraction. But I think, again, it goes to what I would say, Cody, to your point, we were told in the offseason that, you know, Deontay Johnson said, I'm getting first looks on every play. Like, that's basically what he said. I'm the number 1 read every single play we've got.
Yeah, that's what he was told that he was brought in for.
Right. And I think they honored that word. And unfortunately, we became one-dimensional while he was the number 1 read on the team. And so now that he is no longer on the team, I think that they're making an effort to make sure that you have to cover everybody else on the team too. And I think that makes it a lot more easy for you to read those defenses and get to that next read a little quicker. You know, so that, you know, and especially when you're not having to deal with coming back to the line and worrying about somebody being pissed off because you didn't get the ball to them when they felt like they were open.
Yeah. My question for Tony, though, the caller, the hope dealer, he says he brings up Canales in the play calling, that the play calling can almost, you know, take the wind out of the sails of a player when they're just starting to get going. That's been a criticism that I've heard too. And I have my complaints with Rivera's play calling as well. I think Kristen mentioned it earlier. You know, 4th down, not going for it when you were driving, you were past the 50-yard line. There are things to criticize Canales for, but how are you looking at this play calling? Is there any truth to the caller saying that they take the wind out of the player's sails sometimes.
Well, I think momentum is a real thing in the in life and the NFL. We've seen Bryce Young get momentum, right? I don't know if these guys are rhythm players or if they're it's just momentum, forward momentum begets more success and more momentum, like more inertia in a sense. I think that we've heard for decades that running backs need to get in a rhythm, right? Like you go to a running back one time and he doesn't get a good carry and you go away from him. Like they got to get a feel for the game. They got to get hit. They got to start seeing things. So I think that position, people have known that rhythm and momentum maybe are important to that. I think it's important too to think that that same momentum and positive inertia is very important for play callers too. And,
absolutely.
And so really the giant problem that has faced the Carolina Panthers through Bryce Young's entire tenure, if we go back to Frank Wright, and we go back to really until 4 weeks ago, was the inability to extend drives at all. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And so how does Bryce Young get momentum and inertia? How does Dave Canales get momentum and inertia in those cases? How does a running back do that? And so I think that we're seeing all of these guys get a collective inertia together. When it comes to the running back issue specifically, I have a more of a question. If I could sit down with Dave Canales at the end of the season and ask him what was it that made them choose to go from 2 carries the week before with Jonathan Brooks to essentially what felt like featuring him as the back this week? Was it something about maybe the division game? The idea that maybe you can start to gain some momentum and inertia that could land you towards beating a division opponent and maybe even winning the division down the road, and you wanted to get somebody that they didn't have tape on. And at the same time, that what was the rationale for swinging so heavily into the Jonathan Brooks camp, but also it really felt like getting away from Chuba Hubbard, who has just had such tremendous success. I would like to know. I don't even know. I mean, there has to be some logic as you're going into the game that says, man, this is the week we want to feature him more and more. I just don't know what the answer to that question is.
Yeah. And this is going to be a continuing question for us because now that we're all expecting Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks to be that 1-2 punch, you know, how they manage the time between those 2 running backs and the amount of touches and carries, that's going to continue to be a story, you know, foreseeably for the next couple of years here in Carolina. Promiscuous Panda, I got your call on my messages, but every time I play it, it's like not playing it for me, bro. I'll continue to try to make it happen. Tony, you want to play another one or you want to continue?
Yep, let's rock with a couple more calls.
C3 Panther Nation, what's up, man, y'all? It's your boy Preston from Hippie. And I just want to say this. All y'all that were Bryce Young truthers from before, man, y'all cut it out. Cut it the hell out. Like, when we said he was ass, we said he was ass because he was playing like it. Maybe because he didn't have the, protection of the weapons, but he's balling now. Like, Bryce is the truth. He's really showing us something. He gives me hope for the future.
All we wanted.
Next year and beyond.
Yeah,
the guy's been balling. Like, he's been playing like old school Drew Brees.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
And all y'all that wanted Bryce out of Alabama, because I wanted CJ, and I got a buddy of mine that wanted Bryce. It's like I can't even like the guy now. I can't even like Bryce because don't start dick riding now, bro. Don't start dick riding now. Like, now that he's showing you what I try to tell you this whole time, like, bro, I feel like, and Cody said this. What's up, Cody? Cody said this.
What up, bro?
I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong. When he was playing like ass, damn it, I wish I couldn't say that he was playing like ass. But you damn right, now that he's balling, now that he's showing us that he can be a competent quarterback in this league, of course we're going to praise him. Of course we're going to say, man, he's balling like he's the truth. Something clicked after he came back. After he came back from being benched, something clicked, and now the guy's playing his ass off. But all y'all that wanted Bryce straight out of Alabama, all right, chill, bro. We get it. We get it. We didn't think he was going to be the truth. Turns out he is. Awesome. Like, I'm so happy to be wrong about that because guess what? He's a quarterback for my favorite team.
Amen.
He's a quarterback for my team. Of course I want to be wrong. Of course I want him to ball out and prove me wrong. And I got to say, I was wrong. He showed me a whole lot more than I thought. And I'm sure, I bet you this, I'm very happy to be wrong. But that's it, boys. Keep pounding.
If loving Bryce is wrong,
I don't want to be right.
Dude, so this mindset that you have to, like, even the people who are Bryce fans, right? Y'all stay on that side. I mean, do you realize how dumb that take is, by the way? Like, do you realize how dumb that take is?
Yeah, it's
like the idea that as Panthers fans, we didn't want Bryce Young to be the quarterback because he wasn't helping the Panthers win. If he's helping the Panthers win, I don't care what you think about the situation. I am going to be. I was at training camp when he was drafted, that training camp, and I bought that expensive ass jersey. I am more than happy to be jumping back on that side of Bryce Young, and you telling me not to come on that side. Sorry, bro. I've been doing this for a hell of a lot longer than Bryce has been around. I am not gonna sit here and let your opinion of what I should or shouldn't do stop me from being a fan of this boy. It has always been the best case scenario. If you are a fan of the Panthers, Bryce Young coming up, showing that he is the guy, has always been what every single person has wanted, because there's not a single person that is saying, man, I'm really, as a Panthers fan, I'm so mad that we have a competent quarterback now. There's not a single person out there who's thinking that. They're like, what you see, here's the difference. All the people saying, you guys stay on that side. What are the people that were saying that were critics of Bryce Young saying? Cody just said, I was wrong about him. I can't remember who was that in that call. Man, I didn't even want him, but man, he is balling out. He is showing me that he is the truth. Like, everybody here is having grace, and they're coming in and they're like, Bryce Young is the guy. He's proven me wrong. The only people that look like assholes right now are the people who are Bryce Young truthers trying to tell everybody to stay on y'all side of the lane. That is the dumbest take you could possibly have. And I know there's a few people in here that are going to feel attacked by that, but you trying to hold on to this mindset that you were right and I was wrong is just asinine.
It's so stupid. I put this on Twitter too. This is how I look at folks telling me to stay on that side. Because, dude, my inbox gets filled up with this shit. And but
you, bro.
Oh, dude,
you've always been a guy that has got a way to poke the Twitter bear.
I love it, bro. I want smoke. I am he who wants smoke. I don't give a damn. I'm about it, right? And by the way, this got over 100 likes. So apparently I'm not the only one that's getting called this, right? There's a lot of people who have the same sentiment. Like, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. And for a long time, it felt like Bryce Young was the mascot, where everybody loved on Bryce Young. And then when bad things happened, even though there was plenty of blame to go around, it was everybody else failing Bryce, and it wasn't holding Bryce accountable. Now, it's the same thing, but with the opposite effect. All of these players are stepping up their performances at the same time, including Bryce. Now, this is going to make me want to believe in him in the future, because I have seen what he's capable of doing at an NFL level. Tony, you mentioned it a lot. We live in the receipts culture.
Yeah.
Where everybody just wants to say, oh, I was right when, and oh, look at you, how wrong you were, and dunking on people. And it's like, yeah, that shit is cute for internet clicks and bullshit. But if you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers, I guarantee you, even those of us that never wanted anything to do with Bryce Young on this team are happy as fuck that we're showing some real signs of life right now. And if you're not, then you probably were never a real fan.
No, not at all.
I don't know if this is, maybe I'm making too sweeping of generalizations about the world and people, but it seems like a lot of times that people are uncomfortable looking at data, making a decision or forming an opinion, and then when new data or additional data comes about, there being a problem in adapting the way you look at something.
It's sort of like this. It's sort of like this, Tony. You might say something and you might have said it because you were just working with an assumption of what the future was going to look like, right? Well, then you find out you were wrong and the future doesn't look that way. So you decide to pardon your son anyway. So like, it's almost like that. Anyway,
I think this
new
is
data.
that. Look, I've tried not to get too attached to draft pick. Who has said so much that they hate the draft? This dude right here. And it's because of a lot of this crap. It's not this. It's actually usually when these players don't even make it at all and you're so invested in them. I was clear, and I've said this, is like no one's career is written in a single season. So walking out of last year and saying that CJ Stroud is going to be the better quarterback than any of these guys in this class is basing your position on a limited amount of data. Now, it could be true, but there's also a lot of factors that could happen: injury, change in play, teams, whatever it may be. Bryce Young over the last few weeks has played from good to very good. I also would caution, though, or not caution, I'm not ready to say he's the truth. I would say this is he's given us hope and reason to believe he can be a legitimate NFL quarterback, and he has given us breathing room to continue forward with the path with him as the quarterback in the next season and maybe beyond that. But like, I think making all of these dramatic and declarative statements just opens the door to all this. It's like, look, I'm just ready to say this. I'm just thrilled that a guy, I would have been thrilled for Bryce Young, even if he wasn't a Panther, to see a guy come out of that funk and resurrect a career. I don't know if resurrect is the right word when you weren't even finding success at any point. But the fact that he's doing it in Carolina, thrilled about that. I'm rooting for the kid.
Same.
I'm rooting for him. I've
Absolutely.
been rooting for him. But I think we should be allowed to form opinions on data and continue to adapt those opinions on data rather than sticking with whatever we believed, we could have done this about COVID. We could do this about politics. We could do this about anything. And you can just say this is like ostrich in the sand. I'm not going to change my mind about anything.
No, dude, that means no growth. That means you're a stagnant human being, incapable of taking upon new information to forming a better opinion over time. Like, that's literally what growth is, So, yeah, like I've said, I wanted Bryce to be the answer rather than the Carolina Panthers continuing to be on this never-ending carousel of quarterback purgatory where we don't know what our future at the most important position in the game is. It was untenable. And yeah, I think we pretty much said it all to this point, man. He played bad. We said he played bad. Now he's playing good. And we're telling you that, one, not only is he playing good, but we're staking our opinion that he is going to be the future for us. And by the way, it's only been like 4 games that we have seen this from Bryce Young. So right now there is still a larger sample size of bad play than there is good play. but recency has shown us that he is growing as a quarterback
Right.
at the time when you want him to. And boys, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. This next game that we play against the Philadelphia Eagles, this is by far our toughest opponent on the schedule. Well, between them and Kansas City, and we took Kansas City to the wire. However, Philadelphia has that one unique thing that is made to go against us, and that they have an incredible running back, an incredible run game that is set to take advantage of our defense. So that means to tell me that Bryce Young and the offense, they're going to have to put up some points. So if they're able to make this a game in spite of Saquon potentially running all over us, that'll be another feather in the cap of Bryce Young that we're all going to be happy to talk about and happy if he continues to play well. So this is a good time for Panther fans, man. It feels like we're coming out of the darkness finally.
Yeah, I mean, we were just sliding in such a negative direction. It was just so hard. I mean, we found some footing. We found some footing on that mountain, and we're now climbing back up it. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's take a couple more calls.
Yo, it's motherfucking showtime. It's Lou from Fort Myers.
What up, Lou?
And, bruh, I don't know if y'all been receiving my calls, but, like, Sunday night was a roller coaster. Up and down, bro. My emotions was flying through the ceiling. Easily one of the best games I've seen so far. Easily. Yes, we got robbed twice. I believe we got robbed twice. The Thielen catch, and then I forgot what was the second time we got robbed. But some bullshit, no. But like
one of those pass interference calls. I'll tell you
for
that
the
much.
people that are like, oh, y'all, the love better be just as loud as the disrespect to Bryce Young, this and that, and Bryce Young needs an apology. I ain't apologizing for shit. You listen here and you listen here correctly. I ain't apologizing for shit. I'm not going to pretend that last season and half of this season was straight garbage. I ain't apologizing for shit. Do I love to see him do good? Yes. Do I need to apologize? No, I wasn't sorry for calling him trash. He was trash. If he was playing like this, he would have never got benched. If he was playing like this, we would have never even had trade rumors of trading him. If he was playing like this, we would have never even thought about getting Daniel Jones. Let's be so fucking for real.
No one ever thought about that, dude.
Bro, I'm not apologizing for shit. All my friends talking about, you was just hating on Bryce Young not too long ago. Now you showing love. Nigga, I'm going to give credit where credit is due.
Thank you.
This motherfucker wasn't doing any of his assignments. You ain't going to get an A or B or C.
I think this is a great call.
You're going to get an F for failure. But with that,
said you ain't doing any assignments, none of your homework.
Yeah, my boy Bryce looking. Y'all see that little celly? If you hit that every week.
Oh yeah.
Me in my living room doing that celly. What? I took a shower after game hitting that celly. You know what I'm saying? Bro, y'all getting on the defense. Like the defense didn't get 2 interceptions. Like the defense wasn't low key popping off, bro. Like y'all can't just blame everything on the defense, bro. The defense showed up. Like, they ain't the best. Like, you can't expect a shutout game from this ragtag team. But, like, bro, they showed up,
I'm with them. I
still don't like the play calling, but, man, that was one hell of a game.
He got a part
Tuesday,
two.
Bro. And if you wanted more, you're crazy.
All right.
Defense showed up. But, yeah, it's Lou from Fort Myers. That was a part 2, bro. And, like I was saying, bro, like, you can't expect that much when, like, third quarter, our offense was dead. Same thing with first quarter, bro. Y'all, like, a lot of people get on this defense, like Evero, like, I'm not a big fan of this man either, bro. I don't give a fuck for the 3-4 or whatever. But, like, respectfully, bro, that we held them to 26 points, 23. Yeah, we held them to 23 points, let up 13. Like, bro, it was pretty good all across the board. Held them to 7 points in the
hit
first
the bell
quarter,
every time he hears
3
bro.
points in the second, 0 points in the third, and then the fourth quarter they just let up a bunch of points. But like at that time, we supposed to been putting up points. We supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like we supposed to run up the board when your defense is really like holding them down. Dude, this is Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying? Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. We weren't supposed to even be close. We weren't supposed to be close with Kansas City. No, none of that. But I do not like how all.
Not gonna say it one time now.
When some of these games are very, very, very winnable. Like to me, it feels like we're tanking, but more in an exciting fashion. You know what I mean? Like we don't mind the tank as long as the tank looks like this. But yeah, man, that's all I got to say. It's Lou from Fort Myers. Shout out Cody. Shout out Greg.
Shout out Lou.
Shout
Appreciate
out
you, brother.
Tony. Shout out CK. And like the notorious C-Dog TV says, when you get in here, make sure you hit the like button. You feel? They always got content every Tuesdays and post games, bruh. So make sure everybody hit that like button, man. Lou from Fort Myers. Peace.
Call it night so far. Thank you.
Awesome.
Lou. Thank you, Lou. Let's talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say let's talk about the robbery, the thievery.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And by the way, to Panda, I did get your call. We will play it here shortly, bro. So
Bing.
Yeah, we have to talk about this. We've got to talk about this and I love the way that this was worded. And shout out to, let me make sure I give the credit. This is on Panthers Wire from Anthony Rizzuti. And I just felt like the title was really, really good. He said Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen made both the wildest catch and the wildest non-catch of the season in week 13. Listen, just like we're all, as Panther fans, trained and taught and know to say that Cartwright caught that ball in Super Bowl 50. Well, Adam Thielen caught this damn ball. He caught the ball. So listen, here's what we'll do. I'm going to play the clip from the Panthers mic'd up and show you definitively that it was indeed a catch. And the fact, and listen, me and CK were talking about this before the show. The fact that the NFL did not have this angle is absolutely embarrassing. You look at this and tell me what part of this is not a catch.
Thielen reached for it, juggled it. When he came down with the ball, he was out of bounds, and it was ruled incomplete. Thielen wants a
look at that one more time.
Watch. The ball,
leg down, elbow down, firm control of the ball.
He was
never bobbles,
and it was ruled.
They're saying that his right hand may have come off the ball, but not to the point of the
ball didn't move. The ball didn't move. And here's the thing. Here's why that's such a bullshit excuse. How many times have we seen them? To our point, we're gonna probably, we can have this conversation. How many times has one hand in the air caught a ball and they've said that's a catch? Both hands being on the ball has nothing to do with his control over that. That ball doesn't move. Like, look at that. That ball does not move. That is firm control. That is absolutely a catch. And the fact that they couldn't see that is just absolute robbery, dude.
I think they could see it. I think you could see it on the other angle. I don't buy this crap that they don't have all the angles. Like, I mean, they might not have this angle, but we saw that other angle, and it was just as clear to me there that the ball, I mean, he maintained possession. In college, I know that's different rule. Like, we'd have to look at the exact wording, and we're probably going to find that out from an official in just a moment. But, like, is what, surviving the ground? That's what they use in college, the idea. I mean, he survives the ground. The elbow, and, I mean, all the body parts are there. And I tell you, I don't know, is should the refs be calling this a touchdown And the idea being like we can catch if it's not on replay rather than with the conclusive and inconclusive and all this, that when you call it not a touchdown, that really they're saying, are we seeing anything that, I mean, does that put the owners, it's kind of like being not guilty until proven otherwise, innocent until not proven guilty versus guilty, and then you have to prove your innocence. I just think it's a catch. I also hate how instant replay can make the sport better and ruin it at the same time.
Yeah.
To where I'm like, sometimes to me, the eyeball test just works. Like when you freeze something down to the slowest frame, or like you say, somebody steps out of bounds. Do you remember, was it the Panthers player in this game was it this game that I saw there was a special teams and they get it on the one, might have been in the Bears, it's another game. And the player who stops it is standing backwards to the goal line. And I mean, I'm talking, you can see the sliver of green, but it was like, is that one white blade of grass touching the back of his shoe? That just takes all of the fun out of the game.
Yeah, it's really stupid, man. But again, it's like some common sense things like this. So one Panther guy asked, why didn't Dave challenge? Well, because it was reviewed. Since it's a scoring play, it gets reviewed no matter what. So you can't. Once
it was
they
also
came
the
back
last
with the
30
ruling,
seconds of the game, or the quarter of the half. I mean,
so I want to so Joe Person, shout out to Joe Person. He actually reached out to what I think it was. Let me be sure. Hang on. I'll read this, but I want to make sure who exactly it was that
Butterworth.
Joe Person spoke to. Yeah, but I want to know if he was actually a judge in
this game.
Okay, so transcript of a pool report with replay executive Mark Butterworth.
All right, so this is the guy that oversees NFL replay.
Yeah, who noted that there let me get the word right. Noted that there weren't as many cameras at this game as others. Butterworth, the ruling on the field was incomplete and the officials were giving the bobble signal. We purposely stopped the game. For us to overturn, we need clear and obvious video evidence to change the ruling on the field. As we looked at available views, there was an initial bobble while the receiver was in the air. He then did get control, which is the first part of the catch process. He did get in the inbounds as he was going to the ground. The third act would be surviving the ground. As he goes to the ground and turns over, there was no shot showing that he maintained possession throughout completing the process of the catch. Bullshit. We just looked at it.
Well, he's saying they didn't have that video angle. That was like a Panthers.
But why don't they have that fucking angle? Why do they not have
it from the other angle? I didn't think that there was anything that showed from the other angle that there was any real bobbling of the ball.
Yeah, he's also in front of a back judge.
And the guy was sitting there, my man.
Yeah,
he got screwed on. It was a damn catch.
I know. On one of the angles, there were not a lot of available angles, and we didn't have a shot to overturn it. As he is rolling over, you can see at least one hand come off the ball. So with an on-field ruling of incomplete, we would have to show that he had control to award him a touchdown. Joe asked, so if you had another angle, the knee was not in question. It was whether he survived the ground. He says, correct, but that would be the second aspect of the catch because we need control. Then 2 feet or a body part, which then it counts as a body part, and then an act common to the game. Since he's going to the ground, we want him to be able to maintain control of the ball as he is going to the ground to complete the process of the catch. You can say it's like time. He needs time to complete the process of the catch. And that replay did not exist, asked Joe. Butterworth says, yes, there were not as many cameras at this game. One shot that would have been good. The receiver ended up being behind the goalpost, so we lost that angle. other angles were coming too early or too late. Curious as to why there weren't as many cameras on this one, he replies, every game has at least 9 cameras. Someone from broadcasting would have to answer that. Such an unsatisfactory fucking answer all the way around. Like it basically
well, he's just saying this. He's saying we didn't get it wrong. We did what we could with the evidence that we had. And I mean, that's an NFL company line. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's going to say. He's not going to say he got it wrong.
I know, man. This is so fucking dumb, dude. I can't stand it, man. I mean, we were robbed. CK said this on the postgame show. You know, normally better team wins.
Man, we all watch it and saying that's a guy. This is where I'm saying it takes the fun out of the game when you're like this. I mean, the eyeball test, the dude, the ball was in his hands when he's laid on his back.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, dude. It's
and
so
I
dumb.
think this is, I know that look is that he went to maybe it's going to the ground, but I feel like if you, like as soon as you catch it and I think it might be different when you're in the field of play and you're not in the end zone. But like as soon as you catch the ball, demonstrate in control, and you are across the goal line. I feel like, how many times have you seen guys flying through and, you know, I mean, it's a touchdown and then they fumble it. And then they go, well, guess what? It didn't matter. It was already a touchdown.
Doesn't this open up a weird bag of worms, though? And that whether or not a team wins or loses a game is dependent upon that broadcast company, be it Fox or CBS or ESPN or whoever, has to have the right cameras at the right
I don't think
place.
he meant that. I don't think he meant them. I think he probably meant a division in the replay.
He said someone from the broadcast team.
From the broadcast or from broadcast?
From the broadcast team.
Okay.
Curious as to why there weren't as many cameras at this one. He replies, every game has at least 9 broadcast cameras. Someone from broadcasting would have to answer that. The broadcast is the people at Fox, right? Because that's just broadcasting the game.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's like he's like, I oversee replay. There's a broadcasting division that says how we pick how many cameras are at what game and out, which it doesn't matter. I mean, why there would be different amounts of cameras at different games.
That's the weird question.
Yeah, that just it makes no sense to me. Hey, I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this. Wade Evans with the $4.99 C3 bomb says this week Chuba faced a loaded box more than any other running back in the league. Yeah, dude, I'm not ready to come down hard on Chuba like a lot of people are.
He had a play that was consequential. And that was it. But he's had a lot of plays.
And it was a great play by the defender. It's not like he had a weak grasp on the ball and just wasn't trying to protect the football. Like that's
well, it's also okay to say that he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Even though it may have been other players involved. That's like, you know, saying that he has no guilt, which nobody, again, I don't think that you're saying this, Cody, but to say he has no guilt is like saying that when a defender makes a really good play on an interception, that the quarterback has no blame.
It was a consequential play.
Yeah, dude,
it was a consequential play, and it's a rare one that Chuba's going to make. Like, Chuba doesn't fumble like that. Like, he doesn't have that happen all the time. He's probably one of the brightest spots of our offense. It's okay that he had a bad mistake on a year that was pretty much already lost anyway. So if you're going to have the mistake, having it this year where it actually maybe helps the end of the year a little bit more is not the end of the world.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, let me play this call from Promiscuous Panda.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Pandas, the only fan in Mexico. I'm kidding. I'm not the only fan in Mexico. I'm pretty sure there are more, but I'm the only one that watches you, I guess.
Mexico.
Shout out to you guys, CK, Tony Dunn, and Mr. Cody Lack, and everybody out here, C3 fam. I'm going to try to keep this as short and concise as I can. I'm proud of Bryce, man, even though you get labeled a hater because you criticize a guy when you needed to criticize him.
Right.
he's doing well, and I have no problem meeting Crow, no problem at all. I just need him to be consistent. He's been consistent for several games now, and it looks like the lights are turning on. That's fantastic, man. I'm all for it. That's what all of us Bryce quote unquote haters wanted in the beginning, man. And most of us were quick to point out that the first year was a redshirt year, man. That year was an absolute crapshoot. We understand that, but now he's getting it. He's understanding the game. It's slowing down for him. Fucking perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
What they need to do now is work on that defense, man. They need to work on the defense. You can't
Agreed.
in this league. You can't win without stopping the run and having a run game. We have a run game. We can't stop the run. Look at the statistics, man. We can't stop that freaking run. So when I hear people that say that Bryce needs more weapons, it boggles my mind, man. Because if you add a couple of pieces, maybe a couple of pieces in the next draft to the defense, this team can actually freaking compete. They're already, having more than 20 points a game. If they can stop the bleeding, stop a runny nose, we would actually get somewhere. And I'm excited for the future. I'm glad that Bryce is turning around. And by the way, Bryce sexuals, it's because Canales had the freaking cojones to actually sit him and tell him, slow down. You need to slow down and watch how things are done. Without him doing that, none of this is possible. So those people that are saying the Canales will sabotage them, no, shut up. He did it for his own good and for his good. And it's working. So anyway, not going to say any more. Keep pounding, guys.
Keep pounding, Panda. Great call.
Great
call,
audio quality,
man.
too.
Love it. Love it, man. Dude, love hearing from our international viewers. Shout out Mexico, brother. But no, dude, you're 1,000% correct. If somebody even said in the chat too, it might have even been Pandas, that a lot of the people who never doubted Bryce, even when he was playing bad, gave all kind of shit to Canales. And now those same people that are hyping up Bryce, they're not giving Canales his credit for the role that he played in all this. Which, hey, if you have a problem with his play calling, that's fine. I kind of do too. But to deny the role that Canales has had in the evolution of Bryce Young, I think that's very disingenuous. I think it's intellectually dishonest. And credit to the coach, man. He's a Chad. He's got female Panther fans all around the nation.
All around the world.
Just swooning. Leaving snail trails whenever they sit down, Shout out to our coach. He's a real Chad.
I have friends messaging me, and I don't even like the Panthers, but this coach these guys, they love him.
Hey, he's a handsome
I told somebody, they were like, how did I not know about this guy? I said, you should. I was like, here's a picture of his best friend. Take that. And also just Google 2015 Panthers, because we've been through this before where girls were ogling with Kuechly and Olsen. And you know what? Good for them. Let them enjoy it. They got to hear our shit talking about women all the time. Go after it. And I also just remind you, that mug used to be a player. That mug used to be a player. He has a book, and he starts this. The first time I ever cheated on my wife. That takes some cojones. Canales, canole. I can't even say Cajone Canales. Benching Bryce Young and having the guts to write a book with his wife where he says the first line is the first time I just like, oh shit.
Look, man,
his wife was standing over his shoulder saying, write it.
I'm happy that
he
is a great family man now, but I love knowing that my coach is so fuck. My coach is so fuck, boy. He's so fuck.
Oh, easy. Let's take another call.
Yo. What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. Just wanted to call in and talk about, our favorite team, the Carolina Panthers. Man, what a crazy game this past Sunday. Really, these past two Sundays have been crazy. The team's getting competitive. Beginning of the year, it looked like it could potentially be the worst season in Carolina Panthers football history. And you see this team rallying together. and you got to give credit to Coach Canales. We're building something here, man. This is the type of season I wanted to have. And man, last year I was excited when Bryce had that Green Bay game, and he had a couple other bright spots. The Texans game was great. The Lions game, he threw 3 touchdowns, even though we lost. Like there was moments from him, but it's like you're starting to see this Bama level Bryce player where he's just making insane throw after insane throw, going through his progressions, getting out of the pocket, making these Steph Curry like plays. His arm strength, has been questioned by the fan base. I mean, he's throwing bullets on bullets. Man,
I want to comment on
everyone.
this.
Even the biggest Bryce detractors that I've seen, that I've talked to over this past year and a half, really, they're starting to turn their heads too. Like, yeah, man, I got to admit it. Like, he's balling. So, this is just great for our team, because when you have a guy that's looking like a franchise quarterback, you don't have to worry about that position. And Tony on this podcast, even before Bryce Young, it was like 3 years straight. We're living in a land without a quarterback, and it's a scary land out there. And, really, Bryce, keep balling the rest of the year. Keep your confidence going. Bring this into next year, and let's hope the front office and yourself can agree on that. Hey, I got to put you got to put this together for a full 17-game stretch. And then we can officially say, yeah, you're the guy, and maybe start talking like a contract extension or something like that. I don't know. That's looking way too far into the future. I could be tripping. Honestly, I don't know. I've been hard on him this year, but you're starting to see, listen, the draft picks are paying off. Everything. Hey, guys, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you can go back and check my calls from early in the year. This is everything that's happening right now is what I envision this season being like. The young players look good. The offensive line looks fixed. Bryce Young looks like the Alabama Bryce Young. And it really took, no one's talking about this. It really took Andy Dalton's car accident to see Bryce Young again. I honestly think Dave Canales was done with him. So the fact that Bryce Young got his one last shot here and proved himself to Dave, that's huge. I'm happy. Anthony from Charlotte, give me your thoughts.
Keep pounding. Take it.
Like he said that Bryce is playing like a point guard, like the Steph Curry plays. I think that we gotta be careful. Well, no, I don't care. Be careful, whatever. The idea, Bryce doesn't have a bazooka. He has an adequate NFL arm. He's thrown balls over with. He's thrown the football with more zip in the last few games than I've seen him throw this to this point.
He impressed me.
It's not his inability to throw the deep ball. We're just, it's just this, is he's not Nolan Ryan of football. No. And I saw Caleb Williams and when he was in their game, and that mug got a bazooka, bro. Like he was throwing the shit on a rope. And I'm not saying that Bryce doesn't have, can you not just say, just like his height, it's not his number one feature. I used to love this quarterback, Jeff George. He sucked though, but he could throw a fucking piece of football through a piece of plywood. I mean, he just on a freaking rope, dude. Bryce has shown that he's got an NFL capable arm.
Yeah.
So I don't think we got to go out there and be like, oh, he's Nolan Ryan either.
Yeah, I'll say this.
He's 6'4". He's still 5'9".
Yeah, I'll say this. One of my biggest complaints, and one of the reasons why I wasn't on Team Bryce even when we drafted him, was because of the lack of arm talent. So as somebody who has had that be their main criticism of Bryce, I got to say, man, I was impressed with the way he was pushing the ball. Like, he was gripping it and ripping it. And he did it against the Kansas City Chiefs, too. So, I don't think, again, Tony likes to say, does he have a Josh Allen arm?
Right.
A Justin Herbert arm? No. But he also doesn't need to have that type of arm either.
Right.
But there is one more box that we're going to have to see Bryce Young check. And I don't know if when we're going to see that happen. It was so Tua Tagovailoa went up, and I believe they went to, was it Buffalo? I think it was Buffalo that they went to, or they went up to some cold weather team, and Tua Tagovailoa did not look good.
This past week?
Yeah, and whenever you're playing, Green Bay. So whenever you're playing in snow, and you have to drive the ball against snow
maybe
and
rain or
wind
something
and
like
rain,
that.
yeah, generally that's when you want the big time arm talent. So we still have to see Bryce in those types of conditions before we can really make a full assessment. But I was impressed with the zipper on the football the past 2 games in a row against Tampa and Kansas City.
Tom Brady didn't have a bazooka. John Elway did. You know, I mean, Joe Montana didn't have a bazooka. John Elway did. Like not everybody has to be the same player, right? And it's not requisite for success. I think just the thing is do you have a big enough arm to compete in the NFL? And I think we've seen enough of that from Bryce to say, yes, you could throw the deep ball. He could throw it with touch. Somebody put anticipation. But he zigged in some fastballs just because you're not a 98 fastball pitcher. If you throw 92, you can throw the fastball in the major leagues.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you just can't be throwing an 88, an 89, a 90. You got to get, there's a fastball level for the Major League Baseball. And I think that we showed that he's capable physically of throwing the ball deep with speed. So
yeah, I think he made a good point there. If you know, I'm not a baseball fan, but it's like you wouldn't want your pitcher to only have a fastball. You want them to be able to hit the changeup, hit the curveball, all these different types of things. And I think that we're starting to see that more from Bryce. I will say, I do want to see some better touch from Bryce on those fade routes. Like he missed Xavier Leggett, I believe 2 weeks in a row now on a big time play that, you know, Xavier Leggett was, you know, streaming wide open and it just kind of sailed it over him. Again, so it wasn't even a perfect performance, but you're seeing Bryce grow and develop in real time. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's remedying his touch on those types of passes, and that we'll see that fixed sometime soon. At least I'm hoping. I'm hopeful for it.
All right, let's take one more call, and then we'll get back into the show.
Hello, everyone. It's the girl that makes them howl, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. Well, we're seeing what we want to see from the Panthers, aren't we? I mean, exactly what Tony said. Winning is great, but it's not the end-all, be-all. All we want to see is improvement. I think it's safe to say that we've been seeing that. Since Bryce Young has come back into the fold, we've been seeing improvement. We're in games. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, people that like to talk shit, oh, lose or lose or lose. I said, no, we're in games. We just don't have a defense. That's why the Buccaneers were able to go and tie the game on us and go into overtime, even though we should have been able to stop them in 30 seconds if we had a defense that was worth a shit. And does this game actually hurt Ivero? Because to me, I kind of think it's a nail in the coffin for Double E. Because this is a game we should have won. Like, I was at this game. Me and all the people that were screaming their heads off at the top of our lungs at the game, we were expecting to hear Sweet Caroline. Okay? Like, we were like me. I had to go to the bathroom. I was sitting there like, oh, great. Sweet Caroline's coming in 30 seconds. Go to the bathroom and go. No. We go to overtime. Because our fucking defense is fucking bullshit and can't stop a nosebleed, and it's so annoying, and something's got to change on defense. But
well, they did make a stop, though,
what a crazy game. Probably one of the better games of the week. But
they made a stop in overtime. They couldn't make it in the last 30 seconds.
I really am impressed. Like, not so much impressed with this team. I'm just happy. I'm just like, yes, thank you for giving us what we wanted. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Yeah, dude, the defense is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I think they played better throughout the season. And this might be a great time to talk about the defense then, and some of the, not only the players, but man, this JC Horn conversation as well.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's go through some of these PFF grades. The best of the offense. We had Damian Lewis grading out at a 90.0. Dude, we have to continue to sing the praises of these two guards. I mean, truly, man, the fact that we paid these guys over Brian Burns, that is such a W that I'm going to be real. I don't think these guys, Dan Morgan, gets enough credit for. And I remember a lot of people in the media, I ain't going to say no names, but those of you who know. I remember a lot of people in the media kept on saying that the Panthers got, quote unquote, fleeced in that Brian Burns trade. Well, yeah, sorry. No, we didn't. And I was right on that too. Damian Lewis with a 9.0, Bryce Young balling out, Adam Thielen with a 52.6. Ike Kwanu back at left tackle, continuing to look good, 71.6. Jonathan Brooks continuing to look good. Lewis's 90 overall offensive grade is the highest as a Panther, as his marks in pass blocking and run blocking. He allowed 0 pressures and 50 pass blocking opportunities.
This 2 weeks in a row, Hunt hasn't been the best player on the line.
Yeah, which is surprising. But, dude, I don't even care. I still love
he was dealing with Vita Vea. I don't know unless he was over the center the whole time.
Yeah. So, and then here was another great aspect to last Sunday's game is you could see the glimpses of the future of what Jonathan Brooks is capable of being and doing in the NFL. Canales was asked about Jonathan Brooks' performance. He said, I thought it was a great first step from the first week to the second in terms of his confidence. Saw him break a couple of tackles, finish runs aggressively, some of those things. So I was really pleased with the way he just took another step. And that's all we expect. It's just weekly improvement, the daily improvement, just dialing yourself into the protection plan, the runs, and how we're trying to press the runs and those things like that. And so another great step for Jonathan. The 21-year-old saw his workload bumped up to 15 snaps yesterday. Brooks ended up with 18 rushing yards on 6 attempts and 23 receiving yards on 3 catches, including this impressive 18-yard run. Boys, what did y'all make of Jonathan Brooks, and are you expecting to continue to see more of this going forward?
I thought he was more physical than I anticipated him being.
Yeah.
Is that I was thinking Jahmyr Gibbs speed, thunder and lightning or whatever whatever you want to do. The explosiveness is he ran a couple of those plays. Look, is that for early running backs in the league, or at least I think this is where Chuba has been really good, where Christian McCaffrey used to be really good, is they would get the 3 yards even when you really didn't deserve to get it. Not deserve, but it wasn't there. And I saw Brooks a couple of the runs up the middle, maybe even the first run up the middle was all clogged up, and somehow he still got 3 yards. I thought he played physically, and I like that. So I'd like to know why they leaned on him so much in this game. I thought it was a clear, in some very important down and distances that they were keeping him out there. Were they resting Chuba some, or are they trying to get this guy in a rhythm? I'd be interested to hear what the logic of going from just 2 carries the week before to being a significant 15 snaps, 18 rushing. He only had, so it was only 6. Maybe I just watched every single one of them. Maybe it just felt like, it felt like he was a bigger part of the game than 6 carries.
Yeah, I think it was because those few carries that he did receive, he was boss out there. Yeah. He was running angry and running hard. To me, this is just it gives me hope for what he can be in the future. We mentioned earlier in the show that we're going to have to continue to monitor how Canales and Brad is determine how to divvy up the touches between the two of them, Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks. I think that'll be one of the more interesting things going forward. But I love that we have two backs that can take some pressure off the other one and can both largely do the same things, because Chuba has gotten a lot better in pass catching and catching the ball out of the backfield. We know from college that that's something that Jonathan Brooks excels at. But something that Kristen Butler mentioned too, she was at the game. You don't realize how big the dude is. I mean, he's 6'2", 225 pounds. Like, the dude is a hoss. You know, he is a tough tackle. So the fact that they can both sort of do some of the same things that the other can, dude, that could be nightmare fuel for teams attempting to stop this Panthers run game in the future. Another bad performance. I say another, but David Moore had another bad performance. Chuba Hubbard, again,
that number is because of the fumble.
Right, it was because of the fumble. And to me, kind of like what that caller said earlier, I felt like once Chuba finally did sort of get going, they took the ball out of his hands, kind of killing the momentum. I do agree with that a little bit. But, Chuba's at the bottom of this list. Hubbard's fumble at the Tampa Bay 30-yard line in overtime helped serve the Bucs a win. He rushed for just 43 yards, his fewest since week 1. Yeah, I'm not going to trip on this. Like I said earlier, man, I'm just not.
Look, all these guys, what this is limited. I mean, look, is David Moore with the 2 drops makes him crappy. And, I mean, I had a friend that was like, I'm done with David Moore after he was so pissed. But I think of the Felipe Franks. Like, that's one. He had that one. I mean, he had a drop, and that made him have a bad game. So I mean, those guys, they have limited opportunities. They got to make those plays.
Yeah.
So then, we have to talk about this. The best of the defense. One, let's give some love to Chow Smith-Wade. Chow Smith-Wade, we have officially started to move away from Dane Jackson, and Chow Smith-Wade is finally starting to get his reps. And the dude was awesome. He got his first interception of his NFL career. He also earned a career best mark in coverage at 90.6, where he allowed a 34.7 passer rating. DJ Johnson starting to look better. That's always a good thing. Amari Barno with a 74.7. Xavier Woods made some big plays. But boys,
he had one big interception.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and Xavier Woods has the most tackles on the team right now. So shout out to him. But listen, I wanted to bring this up for the show. And I really, really, really felt that this was an important thing for us to discuss. Because last week on the free-for-all, the last hour of the show ended up being this debate on what to do with J.C. Horn, whether or not to pay him or not pay him, and if you do pay him, how much. Well, Tony, I remember a couple of years ago, you had the idea of paying Brian Burns before he got too expensive, before that contract came due. And listen, I'm not telling you here right now that J.C. Horn is a perfect player. I feel like last week Mike Evans did him pretty dirty. The week before, DeAndre Hopkins kind of got the better of him. But keep in mind some things that we already know. We're going to be moving on from Ejiro Rivera at the end of this year. This is a foregone conclusion. And part of the reason why he was drafted was because of his ability in press man coverage. And if we end up going back to a 4-3 next year, I'm sorry, I want this dude on my team. These are all reps of J.C. Horn in press man coverage. I mean, in the hip pocket of Malik Neighbors, first round draft pick this year, This is him on, I believe that's Shepard. On DJ Moore. Staying in his hip pocket the entire time. Kyle Pitts getting big on him. You see that length and the speed that he has. This is him on T. Higgins. Shuts him down. J.C. Horn is the definition of what you want in a press man corner. And listen, I looked at the top paid corners in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey right now is making $24 million a year. My question to you all is this. Do you pay J.C. Horn right now? Make him the highest paid player now, knowing that you're going to have guys that are yet to be paid that are coming up soon, like Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets, Derek Stanley for the Houston Texans, who's also been really good. That's my question to all of you. Do you pay J.C. Horn right now, make him the highest paid, or do you wait, make him play under the 5th-year option next year, and then potentially have to pay him even more than that the year after? Let's say
I think we should have paid him after last week when he had that shitty game. And then
you could argue he could do it this week too.
Yeah. This is maybe a little complicated in the fact that he struggled with injury so much earlier in his career.
Sure.
Each injury seemed to be like, one was real bad luck. Some were not, kind of fluky. It felt like he's been healthy all season long. He's been out on the field every play. I think I think you get the deal done this year or you don't do it at all.
Well, you have to. Yeah. I mean, you can't let the market get a run up because of waiting until, we're, into his 5th-year option. And it's like, we either have to franchise tag him or pay him. Right. You're just asking for a more expensive extension at that point. I think that.
And the leverage that you get as a player when other teams, this is a time where you can tease him with money that changes his life.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is too, I mean, I think that if he's healthy again halfway through the season next year, you don't have as much of an argument, right? Like you could say right now, hey, listen, you've had one full season of playing healthy as a pro in your 4th year, right? So, we're going to approach this with a bit of caution. We want to bring you back. Here's the numbers. And I think that he would probably agree that that would be a great number, especially given that, we see a really talented player, but we also see a lot of things that we would like to get better. But I also think it ultimately depends on if you're bringing back Evero next year, which some people are believing that based on the improvement of this defense, which by the way, seems to be his MO. As a defensive coordinator, start out the year looking absolute garbage and somehow pull together this ragtag group of misfits into playing reasonably good defense, right? And so he may save his job just based on the way that this defense has looked over the past couple of weeks, even though they are clearly the weakest link on this team. But that's one of those things. I think you've got to pay the dude. I think you've got to keep him, because otherwise we're back to another rebuild. I mean, our defense is already bad as it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only premier player you got
other than Derek Brown,
and Derek Brown's, a big injury. To interesting life, the good news about this is the offensive line is already paid.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 free agents.
Minus at least one piece.
What? Like what? The center?
Center Brady Christensen and
Icky's still on his
he's on the rookie contract. But I think this was a big debate on the free for all, because you had people like I just had it, where'd it go? Like Dan Floyd here, who was basically saying like, I don't think that he's worth top in the NFL cornerback money.
You might not have to give him top. I mean, you might give him top 5 or something, but it doesn't have to be like that. Isn't not necessarily number one overall.
This is where the debate came from, though. Like, are we all really gonna bitch if we decide to pay J.C. Horn, $100 million over 4 years, $25 million a year? Like, are we really gonna lose sleep over that? Especially after earlier, we already identified that now with the continued ascension of Bryce Young and playing better and better, that the mission is clear: to certify and fortify your defense, continue to build your backfield, continue to build your linebacker core, make that defensive line even better than it is. Like, are we really going to lose our wig over making him the top paid corner? I mean, if you want to talk about the injury history, okay, fine. But especially with me playing this up on screen right now, you see what this man does.
Well, he has the physical skill set.
Yeah, he's tall, he's fast, he's long. He has all the traits that you want from a shutdown corner.
Could you also make the argument, Cody, that because he's missed so much time because of injury, like next year with more reps, that he perform like a guy like DeAndre Hopkins or Mike Evans, who are savvy, all-time great veterans, he'll be more prepared to play those, to have less games like that, which would only inflate his value even more as he gets better next year.
Yeah. And again, we don't want a Josh Norman situation where, let's say we make him play under that 5th year, and then let's say he balls out. Like, you're talking about having to pay him like maybe $27, $29 million a year.
Well,
so it's like,
you got to keep in mind too, like there's people who are saying maybe top 5 but not number 1. Like, it's similar to the situation with Brian Burns, right? Brian Burns was never considered the number 1 edge rusher in the entire NFL, but he was going to get paid like he was the number 1. And it's not because he was the number 1 at the time, it's that he was just the next up on the list, and they're going to reset the market. You're not getting paid like he wasn't, like you're not getting, if you were to pay J.C. Horn number 1 cornerback money after this year, it's not because you think that he's the number 1 quarterback in the league. It's that that's what the market's at right now. Right.
Well, you might be able to get away with him not being the number 1 CK2, but being one of the top paid. I think I don't like the Brian Burns comparison, because Brian Burns was clearly not even close to the elite caliber player. I think. Look, all I know is I watched Max Crosby against the Chiefs, dude. And do you remember people saying that Max Crosby and Brian Burns were like equivalent?
Yeah, it was so stupid.
I saw a game fucking wrecker in Max Crosby.
Yes. You can see how JC could be the best at his position. You could never see Brian Burns being the best at his position.
We paid Cam Newton a little early.
And you saved some money for it.
And then if you would have waited to the end, you would have just paid more, even if they're not the top paid, because every year the cap is going up and every year positions cost more. So if you're worried about what it's going to cost this year, you really should be worried about what it'll cost next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the argument that I have is, again, with the Brian Burns as an example. One of the things I said before we traded him, I said, and this is the year before where we were thinking about getting the 2 firsts and we didn't, right? Or allegedly. I said, if we don't pay him top dollar, somebody else will, regardless of whether he is like a top 5 edge rusher or not. Somebody else in the league will pay him, because it's not a matter of where he ranks as far as good as he is. It's what other teams need, and they're willing to overpay for positions of need for a player that is proven, right? In some way, shape, or form. He doesn't have to be the best player in the league, but certainly has to be a player that they know is not going to be a bust, and so is worth that money, even if it is considered an overpay for a player who's not really at that, not at the height of where they're being paid. So that's where I think J.C. Horn is going to get the bag. It's an investment in a position of need, not necessarily that he is the best player in the league. It's that he's the best player available for us at that moment.
Yeah, I'm a proponent of paying him. To me, I think that if he doesn't have those injuries, I think we're talking about J.C. Horn as a perennial top 5, even top 3 corner in the NFL. He's that good. In my original evaluation, he needs the interceptions, but also he needs more playing time. Again, like I said, the injuries really hurt him, I think, in this conversation.
Yeah.
But if he is healthy, dude, there is no denying that this guy is one of the most talented corners in all the NFL. And I'm telling you now, you may not believe me. If the Panthers don't make him the highest paid, someone else will.
Yeah.
Someone else will. You might think he's not worth it, but whenever these talented players, when it's their turn to get paid, they shoot for every bit of money possible. They're not trying to leave anything else on the table. NFL stands for not for long. So, I remember David Gettleman would call it their first kick of the can. Well, this would be J.C. Horn's first kick of the can, and he knows that someone is going to pay him top dollar. There is no reason why it should not be us. I'm sorry. And I put up a poll, by the way, if anybody would like to make their voice heard. Should we pay J.C. Horn and make him the highest paid in the NFL? Yes, pay him now, or no, not worth top dollar. Right now, pay him now is at 71%.
Yeah, I think it's the wise move.
Well, it'd be different if we had a cornerback opposite him that was of equivalent skill. We don't. And so all of a sudden not paying him, you are risking being in a much worse situation in the secondary than we want to be in.
Hey,
we got to take some calls, man. We got like 7 calls to get through.
Great point by Anthony, though. He says he doesn't get interceptions because nobody throws at him.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well, I would beg to differ the last 2 games.
Yeah, no kidding.
Take him out of zone coverage.
Agreed.
All right, back to the calls.
Let's do it.
Hey, man, me, C-Dog 1983 TV. Whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the motherfucking like button. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't subscribe to this great fucking content, please hit the fucking like button. Okay? With that being said, I hope everybody having a great fucking day today on this motherfucking Tuesday. I gotta come in here again and humble myself. Bryce Young has been fucking balling in real quick.
Let's go.
I gotta take back my tape from this past Sunday. 2 blood lost us the fucking game. 2 blood in the fucking defense. But, it's hard for me to say this, but Bryce Young took us all the way down the motherfucking field on a goddamn a game-winning scoring drive. Now, in the past, our defense would have held up. But our defense didn't hold up. Bryce did everything he had to do Sunday. So I'm going to need Tuba to hold on to the motherfucking ball, And we just paid this motherfucker. I don't know why we paid him because I like Jonathan Brooks. I think Jonathan Brooks about to be the next best thing to this motherfucking sliced bread. But we will see. But in this upcoming draft, this is where I'm in a hard place because, Bryce, I don't want to not pick up Shedeur or Cam Ward if we had the chance, but we would have to see, but the way Bryce is playing right now, I can't say anything. I can't say anything about Bryce, man. He out there fucking dancing and shit. He throwing fucking dimes. I need Jalen Coker to come back because XL, all XL does is drop the fucking balls. He's a fucking ball dropper. I'm just tired of getting these receivers and they don't got them be what they need to be. Jalen Coker is a 5th round draft pick, and he's a pure route runner, and he has great fucking hands. With that being said, man, like I say, whenever you come in here, man, make sure you hit the motherfucking like button. Subscribe to this great fucking content. They go live every Tuesday, every goddamn Sunday, and we got the goddamn game simulation. It's just been on hold right now. Everybody got families and everything. And out here living our regular lives. But everybody keep pounding. C-Dog 1983 TV out. Everybody have a great fucking week.
Keep pounding, bro.
Love it.
You know what? Maybe what we do with the Madden simulation is we make that an off-season thing, and we just once the schedule releases, just every week until the new season begins, we'll just do a Sunday where I do it or something like that.
Yeah, that's what
Well, also, so listen, both me and Tony and CK, we both had, all three of us have had a ton going on in our life. But even the film room now has this new feature on NFL Plus where it allows you to go through every single passing play from a game or every single run play, which makes it so much easier. So the film room is still going to be happening. That will happen. So be on the lookout for that. I think we're going to try and do something tomorrow and stream it live here on the channel. So
all right,
hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, and become a C3 super fan.
Let's take another call.
What up, boys? It's your boy Tanner the Ranter giving you guys a call. It's been a couple weeks, man. Really haven't called into the show lately, but after last week and the week before, which felt like it was the same game, I figured I'd give you guys a buzz in this evening. Man, we got to start first talking about Bryce Young. I definitely talked a lot of shit, just as much as y'all. He looked great, dude. He looked great. I mean, I would have to take back the majority of the things I said after watching the last 2 weeks, man. I'm so confident in the pocket. He made some really fucking damn good throws, dude. All game. Looked great. I like that we finally implemented Brooks a little bit, too, last game. But, man, you got to give it to Chuba, especially after, you see Brooks go down to the goal line towards the end of the game, and I think he got stopped probably 3 straight drives. Dave Canales was like, yeah, we should run it again and again and again. I mean, why are you doing that? The fact that we didn't run the ball enough either, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, going back to that, man, Bryce played really good. Offensive line was able to hold up. Defense started to look a lot better. I mean, we can only hope that some of that translates to Philly. We're going to play one of the best teams in the league there in Philadelphia, man. They're good. They're not just good. They might be great. I mean, there are very little
we're about to
things
get smoked,
that team
Tommy.
does wrong. Starting from the defense to their offense. But anyway, back to the Panthers. Thielen totally got fucking hosed on that. Everybody's sending me the video. I mean, it's obvious. The dude caught it. I think left hand did move a little bit off the ball after that. I guess that's what the ref saw because that was at his angle. But still super fucking tough, man. I hated to see that. Adam Thielen deserved that touchdown for sure. Dude's a great guy. I think it was dope that he was mic'd up the whole game. But, man, I still go back to the Dave Canales conversation. Ever since the start of this year, hoping that Bryce would learn a lot from the, quote, QB whisperer. We didn't see that, and then we're losing these really close games, which, for better or for worse, better we get the draft pick, but it just looks so fucking bad, man, to have to lose these super, super close games. A couple points, literally 3-point games these past 2 weeks. I mean, just really disappointing. I think over time, Dave is going to become more aggressive. He's progressing as a coach, and that's part of it. But he's got a lot of work to do, man. I was really upset with that. Didn't like the offensive play calling either. You run it on 3rd down, it's 4th and 1, and we still choose not to run the ball. We've got to focus on winning the game.
He's got a part 2, all right?
Yep.
Part 2. Anyway, I was leaving off. Eddie Pinheiro fucking sucks. That guy, I think a lot of people would agree with me by saying he could have went before the season started. I don't think he was ever a fan favorite. The guy wasn't ever, they say he was that accurate. Was he really, though? I mean, come on, man. My memory, if my memory does me well, that guy's not as good as they say he is. So, Eddie sucks. That was just fucking terrible, man. But, again, the Dave Canales play calling thing, he's got to work on it. He's got to work on being more aggressive. As fans, you don't want to see him punt the ball ever. Johnny Hecker's great. He didn't have a great game. He's very talented, but that's just not where you want to be. As a coach, you've got to be more aggressive, just as much in the Kansas City game. You've got to fucking score, man. Focus on winning the game. Don't focus about managing the game. There's too much managing. Let your players do that, Dave.
How about setting them up, putting them in good positions to win? Can we not just focus on that for once? Again, looking ahead, man, going forward, I really hope this team can continue to put it together week after week. We are playing better ball. It just sucks. That fucking loss was absolutely goddamn gut-wrenching. Place was pretty shocked, too. I mean, I was totally confident. I mean, you couldn't have told me different that we weren't winning that game after that Thielen touchdown.
I thought it was over. I didn't even think there was a chance.
We couldn't stop them. They went right down the field just as much as
3
Kansas City
timeouts,
did,
though.
and we lost the game. So, you know, to wrap it up, we'll get a good draft pick. That's all good and well. We got hosed by the fucking refs. But again, I know he's a first-year head coach. Everybody continues to harp on that, but it doesn't change the fact that he made some bad decisions. Hopefully he can own up to those. Hopefully he can learn from those, and we actually see that. Because these past 2 weeks look eerily similar. Eerily similar. I don't like that. I hope we improve. Keep fucking pounding.
Keep pounding. And
All
just
right. He had a third call, but I'm only playing 2 of them.
to put it into context, it took a horrendous call on an Adam Thielen field goal, 2 Eddie Pinheiro missed field goals, and a Chuba Hubbard overtime fumble in field goal range for Tampa to beat the Panthers. Again, you know, shout out to our brother Diesel Skills. He's coined this term Moral Victory Monday, you know, because again, man, it's like if just a few more things go our way, both this week and last week, we're talking about a 4-game win streak right now. So, tough sledding.
All right, let's take another call.
What's up, guys? This is Chase from Anderson.
What's up, Chase?
So, for the ones that say, the offense needs to finish drives and finish for touchdowns and not miss field goals, blah, blah, blah. What had happened in regulation when offense left the field? That went down and scored a freaking touchdown. What should have been the winning score with only 30 seconds left. And then what happened after that? That sorry-ass soft defense let the Tampa Bay Butt Pirates do whatever they wanted, march down the field, to send it to overtime. And when Chuba Hubbard fumbled, what was the score? Oh, yeah, it was tied. It was still a tied game. So the Chuba fumble didn't lose the game. Where was the ball when Chuba fumbled? What was it fumbled at? Was it in field goal range for the Butt Pirates? Nope. It was deep in their own territory. And what happened after that? That sorry-ass, soft, Evero, bottom of every category defense let them go down the field with ease and score to win the game. Guess what? It happened the same thing last week, too, versus the Chiefs. The offense put them in position where they should have won the game. But what happened? What happened? The defense. Evero's sorry-ass defense. I'm so sick of the excuses for Evero, man. Talent be damned. And his zone defense, man, I'm so sick of it, man. You can't play zone defense against good quarterbacks. You're going to get destroyed, picked apart, gassed up is what happens. Why does he insist of having J.C. Horn stuck on one side of the field and not following Mike Evans? Jeez, it drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cody, how about them Gamecocks? Boy, I want Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers just destroyed those Tigers. But don't feel bad. He did that to everybody. Let's play some Sandstorm, boys.
Got to take it.
Said Lenora said we couldn't do anything to him on 3rd down, dude. They should have called quarterback power literally every play, and I think we would have been hopeless to fucking stop them. I will say this though, them Gamecocks are on the outside looking in when it comes to them playoffs, boy. Can't say the same for my Tigers. All we gotta do is take care of SMU. And we in the thing, boy, you already know. So, enjoy your victory, which we choked away and gave to you. Y'all enjoy that. Y'all have that. And y'all might be seeing us in the playoffs, dog. What up? What up? What up?
All right, let's keep going.
But I agree. I'm done with the zone defense.
It's your boy from Charlotte, man. Drew with the flu.
Drew, what's up, brother?
Thank you so much for having me. Hey, listen, man. I want to start off by talking about Dave Canales. Man, I like him. He's a cool guy, and I think he's our coach of the future. But the problem I have with him is, dude, he just so soft. I mean, you can put a recording on what he's going to say when he goes up to the podium. He says the same thing every time.
He's so nice.
Same thing, man.
It's a good.
I swear. He
Darn
don't
it,
have to go up
darn
to the
it,
podium.
Eddie. I'm sorry.
can just put
You're
the
going to do
recorder on.
better next time,
He's
Eddie.
going to say everything that he thinks everybody wants to hear. I'm sick of that, man. I want Dave Canales to grow some balls and get up there and say the right thing, not what he thinks people want to hear. Dude, I want him to go up there and give it to the ref. Man, y'all made a terrible call. He goes up there talking about where the referees didn't have the right angle. We didn't have number like 9 cameras because we're not in a primetime game where it probably would normally be at least 12, an even number or some shit like that. Like, come on, Dave. Like, I understand what you're doing, but we true fans out here, man. We want to hear you get mad sometimes. We want to hear that aggression in you. You know what I'm saying? To just let us know.
Gee golly,
that, man,
these
you're
refs.
fighting. Not just the players. We want to hear you fight. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, other than that, you know, I mean, it's cool. I think he's a little conservative about the play calling. And I think it has to do a lot with the quarterback that we have in Bryce Young. 4th down and 1 and 2. Hey, man, we can't put Bryce up under center and quarterback sneak or tush push. You know what I'm saying? He's small. You know, he's not aggressive, and he might get hurt doing it. So Dave Canales is going to scratch that out the book. So a lot of times we probably not going to get to go for it like that on 4th down and 1 or 2. So we're going to have to kick field goals. I mean, because or hand the ball off the Chuba. But everybody know we handing the ball off. So they're going to stack the ball, you know. So it's just, I don't know, man. We just going to have to figure out something else to do, man. I think Bryce Young is playing really well. I'm still not 100% that he's going to be our future franchise quarterback. But, I mean, I hope he proves me wrong, man. I mean, I love him. I hope he proves me wrong. But, yeah, man, thank y'all for having me. Keep pounding.
Drew with the flu.
So,
I hope
yeah,
you don't really have the flu. Feel better.
Drew messaged
Something
me
really
on,
good for a flu guy.
Drew messaged me on Twitter asking how to become a super fan. So shout out to Drew. Great call. I don't know. I think I've just learned to accept that if it's the coach in Canales or Bryce Young, the quarterback, we're gonna get the generic speak. You know, we're gonna get the media trained BS from both.
I think he's
of
too
them.
nice. I mean, was he like?
Not everyone, but also it's like not everyone can be Mike Tomlin. Like Mike Tomlin is the best. Mike Tomlin will shoot to you straight. He'll tell you 100% the truth. If something's stupid, he'll let you know that was stupid. And he will also hold his team to a standard. I also would ask everyone to give Canales a little bit of grace. It is his first year as a first-time head coach. He is still learning a lot of this on the fly. And that's not giving him a pass either. Like I said, I want him to be better timed with running the football, specifically on short yardage downs. And when you're, in field goal range, be aggressive and go for it. Put points on the board, especially when your team is moving the ball. Bet on your team. I have no problem with that. But it is his first year. I think also having had a bunch of moving pieces, players that were injured, players that have come back, you've had a next man up mentality on your roster. So both Canales and Idzik are having to learn the best way to make this offense go every week. with what they have available. And I think that for the most part, they've done a pretty good job. So not perfect, but I think Canales has done good enough for us to give him a little bit of grace moving forward.
I think that he's learning very quickly on how to be a very good head coach. Between learning how to adjust the offense to allow for your your young quarterback to be successful, to just little things like that. I mean, the making sure that these guys are getting to the line fast enough. I can't speak to. I mean, so that's something I'm so impressed by, that they were able to get to the bottom of a little bit of the problems that Bryce has been having, and it kind of is around the not being able to read the defense. And so I think that you're absolutely right. I don't even think it's a matter of grace. I think we should be praising the fact that he is growing in a lot of different facets of doing this job. So I
think the fact that he didn't lose this fucking team somehow.
Right. We were on, I mean, he almost lost the fan base, we felt like, right? We were thinking that this, we don't know how we survive this. How do we continue to be positive about this? How do we continue to want to be, doing a podcast about this team?
I know. I mean, I didn't want to.
Right.
The first time in the history of this show.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I mean, I know I got other crap, but I was just like, ugh.
I mean, it's difficult when you have all the your life is hitting you. You have your teams not really giving you anything to watch. I mean, it's difficult, but he kept this team together, and they continue to be positive. As far as he continue. I feel like he's a positive influence on these players, and I don't know, man. I think I don't even think it's a matter of giving him a pass. I think he deserves praise for what he's done. I know that there's going to be some problems.
Head coach.
Yeah.
Ridiculous situation, as in ridiculous. When they came out that Saints game, and he said, "I know we thought we knew we were going to have some things to correct after week one, but we didn't think we would have to correct everything." I was like, "Oh shit, good Lord, the correct everything line." No, is I thought that if you think about how beaten Bryce was mentally, you could have seen that happen to Canales.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, this team, somebody put a comment in, I think it was Thomas DeVries earlier, who said, have you ever seen a team this amped and excited about themselves and they're losing? And he wasn't saying this in a snotty, sarcastic way. It's like, these guys touched the bottom of the fucking pool 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, and they're swimming up, and they don't feel like they're going to drown. I don't know. Yeah. It's fun. All right, let's see what's Gucci.
Hey. You know who the fuck it is. Booyaka! What's the Gucci with my boys? What's the good with your Cody Lack? What's the good with my dog CK? What's good with my white Italian brother?
He knows how to butter.
Let's jump into it, y'all. Actually, I gotta address something. OG Pickle, you my motherfucking dog, and I love you for life, G. But this is not me turning Tuba fans into fucking Jonathan Brooks fans. That's not what I'm trying to do whatsoever, G. I actually like Tuba. I just think he's an okay average back, man. I like him. He works hard. He has all the heart in the world. But when it comes down to just being a special running back, I just feel like Jonathan Brooks is him. I feel like we have an alien in Jonathan Brooks, and I feel like that's why we were getting to see more of him getting more carries. And I just feel like he's going to take the starting job from fucking Chuba by the end of the season. And that's not me turning Chuba fans into Jonathan Brooks fans. So, OG, I know what you was trying to do. You my motherfucking dog, but we ain't doing that. You did.
He's so cool.
Let's talk about Bryce fucking Young. Yeah, I fucking said it. And this isn't me. Oh, you guys stay on that side. You know what? I ain't even about that kind of life.
No,
what did I tell you? I'm over here riding on a fucking train through the Sahara Desert, and I'm lending my hand out to you motherfuckers.
I'm leaning my hand out to you motherfuckers, and I'm telling you to fucking all aboard. I don't want to leave you guys behind because y'all are my motherfucking people. Well, Carolina fans, we are all together in this, you did. So I'm leaning my hand out this last motherfucking time and telling you to get on this fucking train, you did. Hey, shout out to motherfucking Dave Canales, man. That's my motherfucking dog, and he's Hispanic. I'm black and Hispanic, and that's my motherfucking dog. You know what I'm saying? Us brown and black people. I love that the brown and black relations, mixed with, the Caucasians. So, shout out to the motherfucking panel, man. Nothing but love to the fucking C3 Nation, man. And shout out to the motherfucking Bees and D's, OG Pickle, all the motherfuckers that are always in there, man. This is therapy for me, y'all. Y'all are my fucking family, and I got another motherfucking call, you dig?
Yeah, I do.
Love you, G.
What's Gucci with your boys?
Gucci.
I love it. All
Yeah,
right.
he's a
G baby, man.
Oh, okay. He's a what?
No, he's a Texas super fan. So he loves him some Jonathan Brooks. But look, I love that we have Chuba and Jonathan Brooks. I love the 1-2 combo. And bro, I promise you I'm on the Bryce train, bro. I'm on the bandwagon,
bro. Interest in life says, bro, G Baby snorts 3 scoops of pre-workout powder before he calls in. I be hitting that pre-workout. It does get you juiced, bro.
Hell yeah, it does.
Oh, God.
Shout out, G, bro.
Yeah, and just like I was saying, man, y'all are my motherfucking dogs, man. I mean, me and OG Pickle got into it in the fucking in the spaces, but at the end of the day, he knows I love him by life. I love him for life. For real, man. That's my motherfucking dog. So OG Pickle, hey, shout out to you. You my motherfucking dog, G. I want to talk about how we can get this team to another fucking level, man. We have to have an excellent draft. Let's talk about the draft real quick. We have 4 or 5 more games left. We have the Bucks left. We have the Cardinals. We got Dallas. We still got Philly and Atlanta. I feel like we can win a couple of games out of that. I know a lot of people want this high draft pick, and so do I. But as long as Evero is the coach and us not being able to stop the fucking run, and we're gonna have a high pick regardless, because it's gonna be a tough game to fucking stop. Not just Saquon Barkley and his running ability, but we're gonna have to try to stop Jalen Hurts and his running ability, and that's what's gonna make this game so fucking tough for Carolina. Do I see us winning this game? You damn fucking right. You wanna know why? Because we got Bryce fucking Young, and if you thought I was gonna go against the motherfucking grain and take the Eagles to win this game because they got Jalen Carter and Davis and all this. You know what? Bryce Young won against these motherfuckers and fucking balled in college, man, in the SEC championship or in the quarterfinals. So I don't want to hear we're scared. Not only that, do you know what we have? We have 2 big gorilla motherfuckers at guards, man. We got fucking Damian Lewis, and we got fucking Robert Hunt, and we got Katie fucking Mays, and Ike Aquanu, and fucking Taylor Moulton pushing shit around like some big gorilla ass niggas, and that's what we got on our side. And I go and take my motherfucking crew against any of these motherfuckers in the NFL. Fuck y'all talking about, man? We got a top league premier fucking offensive line. Finally. I don't give a
Get him,
fuck.
G. Yeah. You can't tell me my man don't bring the energy.
But
the
I would
smoke.
love to see us get Bryce Young another fucking weapon, a wide receiver 1. Because
I want to talk about
not
this.
a wide receiver 1. He's not a wide receiver 2. He's a wide receiver 3. And Jalen Coker will be very special, and he'll have a better career than fucking Xavier Leggett. Jalen Coker is my motherfucking dog. Shout out to fucking C3 Nation, y'all. Who know who the fuck it is to see me, and I'm out.
G-Baby, so I wanted to talk about this. I'm glad that you brought it up. Again, man, like if you're on Reddit or Twitter, you just hear people's opinions. And I'm hearing a lot that there are more and more doubters as to whether or not Xavier Leggett is a number 1 wide receiver. I'm of the mindset that it's hard to really tell that after year 1. And as I said earlier, Deontay Johnson was brought in to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. So it's not even like that's what Xavier was asked to do this year.
Yeah.
However, I do think that it is a good question because we have seen a lot of drops from Xavier Leggett. Like, we can't say that this isn't something that, isn't a part of his game. This even happened to him when he was in South Carolina. He had some big drops at some bad times. We also know that he needs he's basically did an interview where he said that he needs to get his hand fixed from an injury that he had when he was still at South Carolina. My question to you is, do you feel that Xavier is indeed a number one wide receiver, or do we just need to chill? Do you agree with the mindset that we still need to go out and get a weapon?
So he's not a number one wide receiver right now, right? That's okay. I'll tell you this. He's shown a hell of a lot more promise than Mingo ever did. And I'm willing to look at that and say, okay, there's drops. Guess who else had a problem with the drops early on? Chuba Hubbard. And he got that fixed. So I think that these are all fixable issues. And the thing that's impressive is the dude has really good route running. And I think he's hard to take down on first contact. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing this guy continue to grow, continue to be a weapon. Do I think that we need to go out and get somebody else? Well, number one, I think it depends upon how Coker comes into this and how he plays. If he can develop into a really good wide receiver. And we have one more year of Thielen. So I don't know this offseason that we're making a big splash move when it comes to wide receiver. But do I see that being a potential outcome if, for whatever reason, next year doesn't turn out to be a coming out party for XL? Then, yeah, absolutely. I think that is 100% on the table, but I don't know that that's something we're going to be addressing in the draft early.
I think it's a unnecessary conversation to have if he is there's a reason he didn't go top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, is that there is a degree of project or projection that he could be a really good player. I don't think that is the drops just kind of sucked because they're visual, like they're tough, is like he's had 2 in 2 weeks. He's got 4 touchdowns. He's played. He's not had a burner of a season for a rookie. If anything, I thought he might have some more opportunity to have yards after the catch and muscle some dudes and do some things like that. But I think it's also important to note that he's been doing this. His performance and he's been the best rookie wide receiver we've had in a long time since DJ Moore. And it's been on a team that is been in shambles for the vast majority of the season. So, I mean, there's still time for him to, I think the hand issue is a question, like how problematic is the surgery going to be and things like that going forward. I saw a guy, I wish I could remember who said it on Twitter, that the answer or the idea is to go get a top tier wide receiver in free agency to put with him, a guy who's a number one right now, and then Leggett can improve to being a stud. I don't think the answer is to draft somebody in the first, and all of a sudden and think that a rookie is going to come in here and just own the NFL right out the gate. I know it happens occasionally, but I don't think it's something that you bet on. I am happy. I'm happy with him as a player. I think he's got potential. I think he has real potential. I would like to see, as this stretch, if we can get this stretch going, if he could have a blowout game, 7 catches, 97 yards or something like that, I think that'll help us put us more in a positive direction with him. And just don't look at what he's doing right now as only the end all be all of his career.
Sure. And we want, it's his rookie season, but I think there is reasonable criticisms. However, I will say this. So Pandas, he floats the name T. Higgins. So I'm a Clemson fan here. I love me some T. Higgins, but I'm going to be real. I don't think T is what we need right now. I think we need a burner.
Yeah.
Like, we really need somebody to take the top off the defense. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm mad at Steve Smith because Steve Smith did all this hoopla, jumping up and down, saying how terrible and how Jerry Jeudy is just another jag. Bro, did y'all see Jerry Jeudy last night in the Browns versus the Broncos? Tell me that you wouldn't love to have a player like Jerry Jeudy here right now, bro. Give me a break. I would have fucking traded for Jerry Jeudy in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And he went to Alabama like Bryce. Come on, man. I always thought that Steve Smith calling him just another guy was a little bit dirty, man. Sometimes you're in a bad situation. But I only say that to say I feel like Carolina needs someone that can really take the top off of the defense. And like Interesting Life says, we need a Ted Ginn Jr. 2.0.
With better hands.
Yeah, because even if you're not always throwing it deep, you need someone that can take the top off of that defense, man. And I don't think that the Panthers really have that right now.
All right, last call of the night.
All right, then we'll power through these.
Yeah.
What's up, C3 Podcast? This is Corey from the Keep Pounding Podcast. We'd like to say thank you guys so much for supporting us over the years.
What's up, Corey?
With our podcast, and we love you guys as well.
Appreciate you, brother.
Much love for helping us out at Monster Sub and Grub. We were able to live stream over there, last year at the training camp because of you guys, and it was great meeting all of you. And my thoughts on Sunday are that we are this close to getting this team back to where it needs to be. We're looking good, man. We're looking good. And the last two Sundays really do prove that. We played the Kansas City Chiefs to within 3, took the Buccaneers to overtime. If you would have told me at the beginning of this year that would be possible, I would have said you're crazy. And it just shows you the development that we have had, this year under Dave Canales. And it shows you that we now know exactly what we need to improve upon, what we need to replace, what we need to keep. And pay J.C. Horn, please. Pay him. Because if we don't, somebody else will. I don't blame Chuba at all for that fumble. That was one of 11 in his whole career. And I like the fact that we are in control of what we want to do now as a franchise. We are finally starting to come out of the dark ages. And it's been so frustrating because when I've been trying to talk to fans out there and try to bring new people into my channel, all they would want to talk about is Bryce Young being terrible and all this, that, and the third, and all the negative things. And now I want to talk about the fact that we're playing well. I want to talk about the fact that we played the Chiefs to within 3 points, the Super Bowl champs, regardless of what the referees did to us. We haven't taken the Buccaneers to overtime in ages, and the fact that the Chiefs were playing down to their opponents this year and they played up to.
I appreciate the call. He got caught off because there's a limit, but I just look, you want to talk about the team playing good. I'm just happy that we're not all collectively flinging ourselves off the top of Bank of America Stadium anymore.
Right.
I mean,
that was a real possibility at one point.
It was freaking miserable, dude. And I think it was like you were mentioning earlier, it's like the podcast was hard. It was just watching the games were hard. Like I was just like, it was like Chinese, it's like the water drip torture, dude.
The easiest part about this team has been doing this podcast. You know, like I love hanging with y'all. I love hanging with brand new people in the chat, people that we've known for years.
Yeah.
But watching that team just continue to just drown a slow death, you know, that's why this Bryce Young thing is the most heartening. And it's like if you were a doubter at one point in time, dude, who gives a fuck? Do you want to see your team get W's and be competitive? Dude, we weren't competitive.
No, we were miserable. And it was so miserable that y'all laughed at me at one point when I asked the question, was the 2024 season worse than the 2023
It felt
season?
that way.
And then like 2 weeks
way.
later, people were like, oh shit, that question might actually fucking be true. Like,
yeah.
And it's been so bad that, I mean, it goes back to when we fired Matt Rule and we go, oh, it can't get worse than that. And Frank Reich's like, hold my beer. And then we're like, oh, well, it can't get worse than last year. And then they're like, the freaking first 6 weeks of the season, like, hold my beer. It is just fantastic to watch a team where there's actually something good to talk about.
Well, there's something good to talk about. And you know that there is, like, for a minute, that we were going down as the worst trade in the history of the NFL.
Football. Yeah.
And that was what that was going down as. Now, there might be an argument that still wasn't a great trade when you realize in hindsight how much we gave away. But regardless of that, it's no longer, if he can put this together and he can be even a competent QB like in this league, it won't be discussed as whether it was the worst trade in history.
Right.
If he had gotten benched and never got another chance to start as a Carolina Panther again, that's going down in history as the worst. But if he's contributing over the next 2-3 seasons, even if we don't make any real noise in the NFL, which I'm hoping that's not the case, it's just going to be, it's a relief that we're not going to be in that conversation anymore, hopefully. And I think that's where I'm most heartened is like, we aren't experiencing our 28-3 moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, let's power through the rest of the show and get out of here. It's getting late.
All right, let's do it. So I showed this to CK before the show, and he said this needed a little more context, but this definitely has been making the rounds. The yearly breakdown of Panthers dead cap. In 2021, it was 53.9 million. 2022, 52.4. 2023, 62.1. 2024, 69.3 million. 2025, with Brant Tillis at the helm, the big forehead, baby, only 1.9 million in dead
Jake
cap.
Delhomme and Peyton Manning have a baby.
Yeah. Okay, so
CK, give us the context for this. We'll let you take this one.
So when you look at the past years, that's the history of that year, right? Well, this year isn't up yet, and 2025 hasn't hit us yet. And why that's an important context to keep in mind is there are players that we haven't cut yet. There are players that we haven't had to restructure yet. There are things that happen in the offseason that cause that number to go up every year. Now, is it going to be at 69 million? I sure as hell hope not, because that means we're getting rid of some pretty big pieces on this team. But is it going to be this big of a discrepancy between the numbers, even that 2021 to 2025? No, I don't even know if it's going to hit the 2021 numbers. There's still going to be value there, but we're going to be cutting people. We're going to be getting rid of players, and that's going to add to this dead cap situation. But we're still going to be in a way better situation than we've been in years past, no matter what way you look at it.
It looks like we have someone who actually knows how to manage our checkbook. You know what I mean? Like someone that
maybe at one point we'll have some salary cap money in the offseason to use, and then Brant Tillis can go lay on his body pillow that he has to use as a regular pillow You guys got to go watch So I Married an Axe Murderer. And he goes, he calls his stepson, his son, he's got a giant noggin. He must have a huge pillow that go cry himself to sleep on. The chat's going after
a lot on his mind.
Chat's going after
the best. But look, I want some voodoo from Brant Tillis. Tony, you know I've said before, it always seems like there's certain NFL teams that know some sort of hoodoo magic, and they're able to skirt around all the rules of the salary cap, even though they're like the New Orleans Saints.
It looks like it might finally have caught up with them, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
maybe.
especially,
I
could be wrong, but this injury to Taysom Hill is probably going to screw them heavily, because I don't know that he's going to give them any type of friendly situation moving forward after that.
All right. What do we got next?
Power rankings.
Oh, we're moving back up.
Yeah, moving on up. Hey, look who we're ahead of. The Bears.
I think all of these teams are fair,
And the
by the
Saints,
way.
By the way,
I think every one of these teams, there's a fair argument to make that we should be ahead of them, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, maybe the Browns, I think, are actually a good team. Just and kind of a tough. They're the Browns.
Jameis Winston is the most exciting player to ever play football ever.
He is
such
a gem to the world. He's a national treasure.
Is it throwing the best touchdowns that you've ever seen, or is throwing the worst pick sixes that you've ever seen? Dude,
have you seen the shit where the snow game last week?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that? And they said, what's the weather? He had never played in snow. And they were like, have you heard that inclement weather? And he like looked up to the heavens and was like smiling. And he's just a fucking treasure, dude. I want him on my team. The Carolina Tar Heels used to have a morale coach. And I think that Jameis Winston would make a great morale coach if he's not going to when he doesn't play quarterback anymore. Just have that dude around to just break down the huddle, hang out around, and chop it up with the dudes. All right.
He also said after the game, he's like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, but he's really been on a Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, unwavering faith.
I love him. I love the authenticity, man. That dude's not doing it just to look cool. That man believes what he says.
Oh, dude, he is straight the most unintentionally funny person in the history of the planet.
He's the best. If you don't
He's
love
great.
him.
I love him. I do love him. All right.
All right. So how about this? We got some news today in the Panthers organization front. Kristi Coleman, Panthers president, is being named CEO of Tepper Sports and Entertainment. Effective immediately, she will continue to report to David Tepper. Coleman will be over the Panthers, the MLS Charlotte FC, and Bank of America Stadium.
Who was doing this before?
I don't know. I know that she's been in charge of Panther stuff, but now she is more than just Panthers.
Okay.
So,
I think this puts her over top of the stadium and over top of the football club as well.
So, Tepper Sports and Entertainment, TSE, today announced Kristi Coleman as its new chief executive officer. In her role, she will oversee all TSE business operations. In addition, she will continue to serve as president of the Carolina Panthers. Coleman will report directly to David Tepper, owner and executive chairman. The leadership transition is part of a broader strategic initiative to enhance organizational effectiveness and collaboration by streamlining operations. Drawing on more than a decade of experience at this organization, Kristi is a proven leader with insight and expertise to guide us through this pivotal moment in our evolution, said David Tepper, owner and executive chairman of Tepper Sports and Entertainment. Nicole and I are happy to have her in this expanded role. So, I know that earlier in the season when we played the Las Vegas Raiders, her and the woman for the Raiders were the only two female presidents in the NFL. So now Kristi Coleman moving on up. I love this, man. You know, Tony, I said this. I
could just talk about Jameis Winston all night.
Hey man,
I really could. He said, "Did you hear him at his? He's trying to get the team to jump off sides, and he's like, da da da." And he finally said, "Someone jump off sides, damn it!"
No, it is the best. But Tony, I said this when it came to Nicole Tepper. I believe sometimes in these big businesses, man, sometimes you need a woman's touch. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Shout out to the ladies out there, man. This is true.
All right, I have no opinion on any of this. I don't know anything about it.
All right, now we're moving into the final slides. This is the odds for Week 14. According to the latest odds from FanDuel Sportsbook, the Panthers are 12.5 underdogs at the Eagles in Week 14.
That's more than the Chiefs game.
Yeah, this is available at minus 110, whichever side of the line you fancy. Anyone brave enough to take the Panthers money line can get lofty odds of plus 480 currently. Bet 100 to win 480. The Eagles are overwhelming favorites to continue the outstanding recent run as a result of results at minus 650. FanDuel Sportsbook is anticipating an entertaining contest with the over-under set at 46.5 points. Over 46.5 points is minus 12. Under 46.5 points is minus 108.
Let's just hope Saquon just misses the flight or something. God.
Well, that brings us to no.
It's probably in Philly, isn't it?
It's in Philly, by the way.
It's in Philadelphia. So this brings us to Know Your Foe. This is brought to you by the Carolina Panthers website. There goes that man. Saquon Barkley is on a generational run, pun intended. He currently sits at 1,499 rushing yards, plus an additional 267 receiving yards. His rushing total after the Week 13 games is more than last year's rushing leader. Christian McCaffrey had total all season at 1,459. Barkley is on pace to just edge out the single-season rushing record. Is currently held by Eric Dickerson, who had 2,105 yards in the 1984 season, 12 years before Barkley was even born. So we're looking at an all-time season from Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if any of y'all watch Hard Knocks, but there was a clip of Mara, the owner of the Giants, saying, "Man, I just don't know if I could stomach seeing Saquon Barkley go to the Philadelphia Eagles." And look at him now. He's having an all-time year. Saquon's going to fucking run all over us.
God, he could have 1,000 yards against us.
He's going to fucking do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants.
Or it'll be the 1 week he's like stuffed for like 62 yards.
Do we have any hope of stopping Saquon at all?
I don't see how.
So the only thing that gives me hope is how we handled Kamara in that Saints game. But also, in addition to that, is in the past, in some of these games where it's been like, we're getting ready to go up against a powerhouse running game.
Yeah, somehow they don't do it.
They bottle it up. And, we end up, but they end up killing us through the air in those games.
It would just be luck.
And that's the only thing. So this is one of those situations where I feel like if the offense doesn't play well, which is possible against that defense, I think we're in for a long day. We cannot get out we cannot play from behind to where all they have to do is run the ball, because it will be lost in a very quick way if we have to go that route.
Yeah, dude, he's incredible, man. It's a 1-2 punch with him and their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Barkley isn't the only star on the Eagles offense. Quarterback Jalen Hurts is leading an offense, is 4th overall in the league. The passing offense averages almost the exact same yardage at 188.8 yards per game, which is 28th in the league, while Philly is leaning heavily on the run. Hurts is also a big part of that with 485 yards on 124 carries, while only Derrick Henry is chasing Barkley on the ground this season. Hurts actually has more rushing touchdowns than his running back. That's insane, dude. The quarterback has 12 scores with his legs and tush. Tush push. And the Eagles are 7th overall in scoring offense at 26.
Yeah, they're about to fucking
points
smoke
per
us,
game.
dude. I mean, I hate to be like that because we've been catching some momentum, but this team is fucking good.
They are, man, and they're getting Devonta Smith back, who has been out.
God. So they're just
Yeah.
gonna be able to do whatever they want on
And
offense.
AJ Brown is averaging 18 yards per catch. Dude, that's insane, man. Yeah, we have a lot on our hands this week, boys. And then the defense, haven't even talked about that. As if the offensive firepower wasn't enough to deal with, the Eagles' defense is also a bear. Philly is first overall in total defense, only allowing 282.8 yards per game. They're third in passing defense at 178, seventh in rushing defense at 104.8, and fourth in scoring defense at 18.2. The front is eighth in the league in sacks, getting to the quarterback 36 times behind the incredible play of two Georgia guys, Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. Both have 4.5 sacks so far. The unit also has 4 straight games with at least 3 sacks and has 14 total over that span. And by the way, I put the little picture up here of white boy cornerback. How about that? Cooper DeJean making a big play by the slamming Derrick Henry into the ground. This is a vaunted defense.
Yeah, I'm not messing with this game and gambling.
No,
No, not at all, dude. You can make the argument.
They'll probably
that
win by 12.5.
Philly's the best team in the NFC right now. And
I don't know. You could say
they're better
Detroit.
than Detroit. And the reason why I say so is Detroit, they are injured, man. They're winning a lot of football games. Credit to them. Dan Campbell is an incredible coach. But they are very, very, very injured right now. And the fact that they're still winning in spite of that, that's a testament, man. But I think from top to bottom, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC right now. Do you agree, CK?
Yeah, I mean, I really have nothing to be able to refute that, and that's such a true statement. Just based on if Detroit was healthy, I think they would be 1-1 at this point in time. I think it'd be 1A, 1B type of situation. I don't know that the Lions would be a clear cut over the top of the Eagles, especially given the Eagles have ascended. Like they're where people are going to point to the Eagles being less, of a good team is how they started the year. They started out a bit slow and a bit sluggish, and they weren't winning. They weren't given, they weren't blowing teams out. The wins they were having were very like going to the end of the game, and there were a lot of mistakes involved. Since that bye week, they've just been rolling, and they have looked incredibly convincing. They have beat juggernaut teams.
They had a quiet beginning.
Yeah. And when they're facing the teams that they should beat, they're destroying them. They're not just beating them, they are destroying them.
Yeah, I mean, they are effing good. They are effing good. So I do actually, I mean, I will buy that best team. And it's 1-2, it's them and the Lions. And then, I mean, you can almost make a Minnesota is fucking 10-2 or whatever the hell they are.
Kristen said, "Don't count out the Commanders or don't sleep on Washington."
Yeah, but Washington still has a lot of flaws, and
they lost
and
to Dallas, bro.
Yeah, you're seeing the chink in the armor right now with them, and I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is like failing them, but his being a rookie is starting to show a little more realistically now. He's still incredible, but it's becoming apparent that this is a longer season than college, and it's starting to, I think, show up on the tape.
Well, their defense just isn't that good either.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget you can help support the podcast by subscribing, considering to be a C3 super fan for just $1.99 a month. Hitting the thumbs up button and sharing the link with a friend is a big way. Telling somebody about the podcast, big way for more and more people to get exposure to the podcast. Looking for a last minute Christmas idea? You better run over there right now to CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Hit the shop tab and look through some of the gear like the C3 Panthers podcast t-shirt and that fantastic C3 Panthers Podcast coffee mug. Really great deal right there. I mean, that's slick looking. Great thing to give to a Panther fan. Doesn't cost a lot of money out of your pocket. So, Panther fan, go get you a coffee mug. Cody, I guess we're all picking Philly. I am. No reason, I think, to spend any time on that.
Yeah, I think Philly. I think Philly's gonna do their thing. I do think that we make it competitive, even if it's not. Even if they run away with it, I don't think that we're gonna look inept. I think that we're gonna put up some fight, and if we're able to do that, then I'm willing to celebrate a third moral victory Monday in a row, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you could see Bryce continue to show some life, I mean, like just make some good plays, I'm happy with that. All right, can we ice some fools up and get out of here?
Let's do it. Time to toughen up. You say
Ice up.
You say it better than me.
It's time to ice some fools up, where we tell someone to toughen up, get it together. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Let's ice some fools up, my man.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Ice up, son. Ice up, son. Everybody's fair game. This is where we can continue to talk about football. We can step outside the bounds of football and ice some fools up, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. Cody, I've got two. CK, you got one tonight?
Sure.
All right. Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, I've got one video, one picture, and two stories, but they can go fast.
All right. You go. We'll go left to right.
All right. When running a marathon, yeah. So, hey, when running a marathon, just maybe be careful of what you say to the camera.
As hard as she could, and she went all in. Myself. So can you not get my ass? Thank you.
I just shit myself. Can you not wait? Or the way she's so politely asked too.
Went all in. Myself. So can you not get my ass? Sorry.
It's funny because nobody would have ever known if she wouldn't have said anything. But yeah, now everybody knows. So tough break. Ice up.
All right, what you got next?
CK, go ahead.
Mine, I can't play any of it because we'd get copyrighted, but it's just I hate that it's always something like that has to do with this arena of things, but it's the hypocrisy of the mainstream media and how their coverage of the whole pardon situation with Hunter Biden and what have you. First, anybody who is of the mind that you wouldn't have pardoned your own child, you're absolutely out of your mind, and every single person would have. So there's not a single person that can tell me that they blame him for that or doing that, because as a parent, you're going to pardon your kid. Just reality of it. Now, if you want to blame him for lying about not pardoning his son, then sure, I could understand maybe going that route. But the pardon itself, not that big of a deal. It is wild that it's an 11-year pardon. Like, it's just like, if anything he's done over 11
my
years.
son's entire life. Pardon the life.
I pardon anything he can do in the future too.
Yeah.
But no, that's hysterical. But the thing that I'm icing up is the media's coverage of when, as an example, when Biden had initially stated that he would not be pardoning his son, even if he was found, in the event that he was found guilty, they're like, oh, that's such a stark difference from what you hear from the other side of this, and he's upholding the laws of justice and all of this, just crazy, like just really leaning into it, right? And then when he goes and pardons his son, the coverage is, well, Hunter Biden was in jail, was convicted of something that normal Americans would never really be convicted of. First and foremost, if you saw the videos that he had on his laptop and the things that he's accused of doing, if you did that as a poor person, you'd be in jail for 40 years. Like, let's be real about it. You would already be gone. This dude is out free right now. Like, it's like, let's just be real about that. Second, Like that's exactly what they did to Trump. Is they are literally prosecuting him for things that nobody's ever been convicted of, and they're just basically like they're taking the laws that are there and trying to create another definition of them to be able to apply them to him. And so like these same media pundits are doing the exact same thing. If you know me, I'm not a fan of Trump as a person or anything along those lines. But if you can't see the hypocrisy in how media and politics from either side of this is played, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm icing up the media for this absolute horrendous way of approaching these two stark reactions to a completely dishonest statement from a president from 4 months ago, 5 months ago, or however long it was, about pardoning his son, to now he's pardoned him, and they're like, oh, it's really not that big of a deal. But like 4 months ago, he was upholding justice. Like he was actually protecting the justice system. So it's just kind of crazy.
I want a lifetime pardon, number one, and a lifetime get out of free jail card. I'm here for it. Somebody, if you're listening, President Biden, get me one of them. Ice up.
The one funny thing is, if you see clips of Joe Biden in the past, he's talking about how we should lock up people who do crack. Like he played such a huge part in the ramping up of the war on drugs. Meanwhile, his son's just a fucking coke fiend. That dude loves coke.
I would pardon this dude. I pardon this guy. Somebody said, "All right, I'm ready."
Yeah,
Are you ready? All right, so this one here is the tweet. Is projectile vomiting as your first strike in a fight is nasty work.
Oh no!
Look at this.
Oh! What the fuck? Yo! Go back!
Oh, much.
Oh, homeboy hit him with the. What the fuck?
That shit had me.
Bro, I have never seen some shit like that in my fucking life.
All right, and this shit is so fucking awesome, dude. This is just playing around with fire.
Oh God.
Oh, hold on.
These guys are so dumb.
I gotta turn the music because that was like old CRC song. Look at this. All right, so there's
oh my God.
Oh,
look at this fucking nuclear bomb, and then these dudes are on fire over here.
Oh my God.
Whoa!
Shit, look at this. He's rolling in the sand. He can't even get out of fire.
No.
They're kicking sand on him. Look at this nuclear bomb, bro.
Can we talk about how dumb that was, by the way? Like, so like I learned this when I was playing with fire at 15 years old. You make a trail to the explosion.
Yes.
You light it from afar.
I don't know what the point of doing the circle of fire or a circle of gasoline around the canisters of gasoline, but then lighting the central gasoline canisters. I just can't believe. And we got to remember gasoline is this combustible, but the size of this fucking explosion, dude, of just milk jugs.
That's absurd.
Ice
bro.
up, dude. Ice up. And that dude is going to need some real ice and cocoa butter and some damn. All right. What do you got? You got one more for us?
He's going to get like 7 more.
Well, I mean, one of
he
them.
said he had one, right? One more. How many you got? I'm ready to go. Better hit two.
How about this? I'll do this one. I'm icing up all of humanity because nobody fucking cares that we are being visited by aliens on a daily fucking basis, bro. I swear. Maybe I'm on Twitter too much. I'm willing to admit that. But if you're on Twitter for any length of time, every single night, there is another story about lights and random drones in the fucking sky, dude. And no one gives a fuck. No one gives a damn at all that the type of technology exists to move a fucking plane either from one planet to another across hundreds of millions of fucking light years or interdimensionally from another fucking dimension of space and time coming to our fucking planet, and no one gives a fuck. None at all. Ice up to every fucking human being on Earth. We are living in the craziest time. We're living in the fucking Independence Day movie, and no one gives a fuck, and I'm losing my mind over it, dude. Ice the fuck up, bro. Look up. Go outside
God.
and fucking look up. I promise you're gonna see some shit, bro. I promise.
Don't look up.
Oh, don't
God.
look up.
Care,
Don't,
just
don't
care.
look up.
I
Great
want
movie, by the
people
way. Don't look
to
up.
care. Just care. This is really happening. I
I've never
promise.
seen such passion.
Bro, this is really fucking happening, and no one is paying attention, and I'm losing my fucking mind over it, dude.
Oh, I'm fucking dead.
Dude,
All right.
this
biggest
this
story
is
in
your
all of
Eddie
human history.
Pinheiro moment.
Yeah.
Dude, aliens are here, people. The aliens are here, and the implications are 0-point technology is a real thing. You don't need gasoline. You don't need electricity. You can pull that shit out of the vacuum of space, and your government has known about it for years, and they're fucking hiding it from you for years.
Oh man. The only time I'm gonna care about aliens was during that ice up pick. All right, ice up to me then. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night into the wee hours of Wednesday, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We love you guys. All the people.
Wait,
in the
hold one more second. You're gonna love it. I promise.
Oh, is
I
it
promise,
somebody?
I
I
promise.
will take someone almost dying.
No, it's not someone almost dying. So shout out to the real AP. He sent me this on Twitter. What's the first thing that you notice in this picture? Let's see how long it takes.
Shut up. Stop. Stop.
What?
Stop.
What?
Oh,
What
I
do you notice?
already noticed. I already know.
Oh, okay,
You mean
cool.
Julius
I see.
Tepper's number?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
that big
I
ass
don't have
moose.
to. I don't have to say it aloud. But I didn't even see Todd Bowles' face until that was the third thing I saw was Todd Bowles.
Dude, I saw a moose knuckle, bro. I don't know about y'all, dude.
All right. Take us
All
out
right.
of here, bro.
We're done. C3 Nation, we love you. Until next time, keep pounding.